light gets absorbed by the water in your cells and charges you like a battery.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, we have to talk about this. You are basically solar powered. I want to be really clear. It's not like you've done something you're ashamed of. It's that you're afraid that maybe you're not, whatever, smart enough, man enough, hardworking enough. But that thing becomes the devil's like path to you. I mean, when I was in preschool, maybe it was in like the first grade, I remember there were these two twins. They were super wild. One of them pooped in a cubby. It's crazy. Like, what? I remember, yeah, we had to go home. Yeah. I talked my mom and I the other day, we were kind of reminiscing about stories and like, I remember they were these two wild twins. They were identical twin boys. One of them pooped in the cubby. Yeah.
Punk Rock Sober.
This is Punk Rock Sober and Painful Lessons. We have been transitioning into a title for this podcast that I feel so incredibly passionate about. And for me, the thing that has changed my life is living, I like to call it punk rock sober. I heard this phrase from an actor that I have so much respect for, and also a hero of sobriety, and his name is Josh Brolin. And he told me this phrase when I was it was like a couple of days before I went to rehab for the last time. It was sort of circling the drain at rock bottom, and I was looking for something to, I was discouraged because I hadn't been able to get sober forever for 40 years, and I didn't think it was possible, and my friends didn't think it was possible, even though it's going to go into a place. And it changed my life, this one phrase, because it made me realize that I wasn't giving anything up, but I was going to gain everything. And that it was sort of more badass to feel feelings than it was to numb out. And it was more badass and sort of punk rock to go towards a fear and challenge it rather than run from it. So, it has made such an impact in my life that I feel that I want to pass it on to somebody. Like, I found a purpose and I want to pass this on to others. So we're not really going to just talk about people that are sober or not sober, but all of the interviews that I'm going to do in the future are all going to be from the perspective of someone who is punk rock sober and crazy curious about life and crazy curious about how I can share what I've seen working for other people. And I have a guest today. Well, I have two guests, and one is my son, River, who I couldn't be more excited about. He's 9 years old. He's in 4th grade. And River has a godfather that is also a close friend and a hero of mine, and his name is Andrew Huberman. And this is going to be a completely different vibe. I'm going to let my son interview his godfather.
Yes.
And Andrew, I'm so excited to have you here. This is the biggest pleasure.
Man, so great to be here with both you guys.
Yeah.
Love the name Punk Rock Sober.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm lifelong punk rocker.
I know you are.
Lifelong punk rocker. Not a musician, but I've been going to shows a long time, and I have a lot of friends in the punk rock community. But I think it's also important to point out that and Brolin's rad.
He's amazing.
It's great. But the quote unquote punk rock thing, I think it throws certain people because yes, it can be about mohawks and bullet belts and tattoos and the rest, but that's not what it's about. Those are elements within it. It's about living your life heartfelt.
And
I think,
not being a sheep.
Yeah. It's thinking for yourself, but also taking input from people around you that you trust. And it's about living life from your heart. And a lot of people I know to the fullest. Exactly. And a lot of people that I know that don't really even know what punk rock means.
Yeah.
I go like, that dude's a punk rocker. Like the producer of my podcast, my close friend, Rob Moore. When I met him, I mean, just if you looked at the architecture of his life, you wouldn't be like, guy's a punk rocker. You look at how he lives his life.
Sure.
100% to the core punk rocker, because he's mission driven, the way he shows up for his family, for his friends, the way he views establishment versus being DIY. So it's impossible to put a label, an exact definition on these things, but it's like one of those things, like when you know it, when it's there, you know it. And
When I
and when
see
it,
it, I know it.
and when it's falsely held, it just doesn't quite fit. So anyway, this kid I've known since he was really little.
Yeah.
I lived, I don't know if you remember this, but I lived below your house
I know.
with my bulldog
Yeah.
for a long time
You lived in our guest house.
I lived in your guest house. Yeah, I didn't live under the house. So I lived in a guest house. It'd be gnarlier if we made sound. I'd crawl out. And Costello, my since passed, but bulldog mastiff, 90-pound bulldog mastiff, loved River, and they had a lot in common. They were kind of like like forehead first, going into the world, forehead first, no fear, but also
Totally.
kindness, big hearted. So it's awesome to see you, man. You're growing up a fine young man, which for me means you're a punk rocker. You're living your life from your heart, and you're such a good kid. Like you have so much goodness, and you're also full of energy and not afraid to like put that into the world. So I love that.
Here's what punk rock means to me. Live life to the fullest.
Mm-hmm.
Be cool, and what was it?
Two is fine.
And be grateful.
And be grateful.
Be grateful.
Gratitude's huge, man.
Yeah.
Gratitude's huge. Not that we have to drop right into research, but if you look at the research data on gratitude, it is one of the things that moves the needle for mental health the most. It's like a huge effects. But here's what's wild. People think that the gratitude thing is all about giving gratitude.
Yeah.
Do you know what really shifts the needle? Is receiving gratitude.
Explain. What do you mean by that?
Well, they've done these studies. They're really, really cool. They've done these studies where people have a gratitude practice. Like, you stop, you think about what you have, what you're grateful for. And those are very effective in helping people reduce their stress, improve their well-being, and so on. You can measure these things by how well people are sleeping, their blood pressure, all sorts of things. Okay. Those effects are good. Like you see some really interesting and important pro-health effects. But the really big shifts in people's mental health and physical health come from when they receive gratitude.
Okay.
And you think, oh, well, then what do I do? You give gratitude, right? So, and it turns out that giving gratitude and then seeing someone receive that.
Seeing someone say, I'm like grateful that you did this.
Yes. Or even just that, and they've done these studies basically where they scan people's brains, they measure a bunch of things in their brain and body, and they have them watch a movie of someone receiving gratitude. And it turns out that seeing someone receive gratitude
You're kidding me.
is like the big one. And when we receive gratitude, it really shifts our whole mindset and sense of well-being. And I think this stuff is really it's really like the fuel of life. I mean, it's not the only fuel of life, but it's one of like the vital ingredients. So definitely be grateful for everything you have. Also tell people and things that you're grateful to, tell them so that they can have that.
And like
teachers, mom, dad, sister. How's it going with your sister? You guys getting along?
Most of the time.
She's rad, man. She's such a rad kid. But she's a tough kid.
No.
Yeah. She's your little sister. So she's got
Violet is more punk rock than both of us.
No.
Yeah,
no. No, he's not going to accept that.
Violet is the maximum.
He's not about to give up. He's not about to give up that title. No, he's not giving up. He's the older brother. But you protect her like nothing else. Exactly. Good man.
Dude, I almost there's another kind of like phrase that I was spinning around, and it's party grateful. And I thought, and it was another sort of thing that I unlocked, which is that it's so strange when you're caught up and you think that you need certain drugs to get by, and you think that you need so many people are convinced that they need to have alcohol to have fun. And for some reason I got this term, which was party grateful. And I was just like, I think the attitude is to just embrace gratitude as like the party. Like that's the more than anything else, that's the thing that I want to consume. So it's like, rather than hiding from anything. I just want to, even if I'm having it like an impossible time finding it in the moment, I just want to reach out and try to find something I'm grateful for. And I think I've become decent at it. I think it's for the most part because I came so close to losing everything.
Yeah, you were pretty
Yeah.
close, man. We were really worried.
I was really close to
Yeah.
losing everything.
Yeah, you took a couple trips down that path to
Yeah.
the point where, I mean, I loved you then, I love you now, but there were a couple times when I was like, I don't think he's gonna get out of this.
I don't
I
think he's gonna figure it
like,
out.
and then it's wild
Mm-hmm.
how you did, but like it, we all wanted that for you, but it was like, whoa,
Yeah.
because it seemed like you were trying with everything you had,
I
and the consequences were getting more and more severe.
maximum consequences.
Maximum consequences, and you had love all around you,
Yeah.
but no one could get to you. It had to come someplace through something else.
I think that I was even I have friends that they are in a similar situation, but then they also, when you're communicating with them, they'll say I'm fine. And I wasn't there. I would say I'm not fine. I definitely need help. I mean,
Well, you had stints of sobriety.
I had stints of sobriety, but looking back, they weren't stints of complete sobriety. That was it's like I would think um that if I wasn't drinking, that was okay, but I would still be able to smoke something or take Adderall. Adderall was really the thing that kept screwing me up.
Well, yeah, because it's a powerful
It's
drug.
the most
I mean,
powerful
it's
drug.
it's an amphetamine stimulant,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and I think some people do need it and can benefit from it, but the number of people that can really benefit from it is much smaller than the number of people taking it. And it's pharmaceutical grade amphetamine. Let's just be direct.
I mean,
That's what it is.
and in short bursts, you're gonna get a ton done, and you're gonna. And I'm like,
I've never tried it.
geez, I can't imagine.
I like stimulants, but
I
I've never
can't
tried it.
imagine what would become of you.
Mhm.
I mean, I just can't even. You do like stimulants? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very heavy caffeine user,
Yeah.
and in college in the '90s, early '90s.
I mean, it's such a different
Yeah.
game than.
Oh yeah,
caffeine.
back then, people would take ephedrine,
Oh yeah.
and mini thins like trucker pills,
That
and
would be
they call them, like
crazy.
at truck stops and things like that. And what we didn't know is that stuff, may or may not have been ephedrine, right? You don't know it, but it's interesting. I like stimulants a lot,
Yeah.
but I don't have the same thing with drugs that you have, where it just keeps pulling certain people in. I don't
Yeah.
have that. I have my issues, but I don't have that thing for stimulants, and certainly not for sedatives. Like, but I think some people they drink or they take sedatives, and it just, to them. Have you ever read the book Dry by Augustin Burroughs?
No.
He talks about alcohol, and he talks about drinking alcohol for the first time. And there's some quote in there, I won't get this exactly right. And he talks about it feeling like this elixir with his blood that makes him feel he felt right for the first time.
Yeah, that's how
Yeah, that's not how
everyone that comes
stuff,
to these meetings I
Yeah.
have here
yeah,
feels the same way.
right. And so
yeah.
that's how alcoholics feel about alcohol. That's how people like painkillers feel about painkillers. I do think, yeah, stimulants can definitely kind of put me in that direction, but then it just like stops. It's not of interest to go to that peak. Whereas I think you just have it. It's in your wiring, but you overcame it.
I think it's clearly a combination of the more I've been learning about like PT, and I don't want to say trauma, but there was something that happened to me when I was a kid that coupled with an allergy, like that I was born with.
Mhm.
Two things working together.
Allergy being alcoholism.
Yeah. Two different things. So it's like I have this, and then some things as a kid poked me enough where I think then it supercharged it, and then it becomes a real issue in your life.
Well, I have a theory,
Yeah.
and these are more questions than theories. So,
Okay.
River, chime in here where you have a thought or a question, and certainly Tyler. So one theory is that all forms of
Mhm.
addiction, doesn't matter if it's gambling, it's drugs, it's alcohol, it's whatever, is gambling. That it's seeing how
Interesting.
far you can go before you're over the cliff. That's one idea. There's another idea, which is that all addiction is to temporarily overcome one's fear of death.
Yes.
I've
And then
never heard that. I've
okay,
never heard that.
and then because addictions of all kind bring you into the moment of the feeling that you're under the influence of the thing, or
Yeah.
they take you out of thoughts about death usually, and
Okay.
how finite life is. And then the other one is that's something that maybe we talk about more today.
Wait,
Is
let me
Yeah.
just touch on this fear of death. I think that it's more of a fear of life. Like I mean, and maybe we're still saying the same thing, but when you compare it to, you're saying it's all gambling.
Well, someone had offered up that hypothesis to me.
Okay.
And
All-
I thought about that. I was like, yeah, it's interesting. Like maybe all forms of addiction are gambling.
Yeah.
You're gambling with how long you can keep this up before you're dead, how long you can keep
Yeah.
this up before you lose everything, how long. I don't think it's conscious. I don't think people are thinking like,
Of
oh, I'm going
course.
to gamble. I mean, there's this saying in 12-step, as we both know, which is anything you put ahead of your sobriety, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
This is for anyone that is thinking about going to a meeting or needs a meeting, as I
Yeah.
say, hasn't been in a while. I got work, I have this. Anything you put ahead of your sobriety, you will lose.
100%.
If you're an addict,
100%.
that includes alcoholism. But
Yeah.
and once I heard that, I was like, okay, got it. Work, relationship, money, fun, even sleep.
Do you think you could say, you take it even further and say anything that you put before your mental health, you'll lose?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that for addicts, sobriety is the foundation of
Oh, yeah.
everything. You lose that, you lose. If you put something ahead of that,
Yeah.
sooner or later you're going to lose that thing that you put ahead of the sobriety.
Well, if drugs is basically gambling, then I think you're always gonna lose. Like if you're not, there's no way you're gonna win with that. You're gonna
Profound.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, sooner or later the house wins, as they say. Well, and then there's this third piece, which
Some people can play a couple hands, step back,
I
and
can
they
do
will
that.
leave Vegas they might have won something, and they won't gamble for years. And that's the same thing with, like, they might have a couple of amazing experiences in college, or even at someone's wedding or something, and it won't. I think all the best for anyone who's having a great.
Oh yeah, some people can drink.
Other people can't. Yeah.
So I would say with drugs, it's a slippery slope because very few drugs have a way of changing your brain circuitry. We should point out to people that some people, probably about 8% of people, drink alcohol and get a very different experience from alcohol as everyone else, probably due to a genetic something about their genes.
What is it? 8%?
About 8% feel really energized. These are people that sober up quickly and the next day, or it can be at work and at the beginning.
Sure.
Okay, they are at high risk for alcoholism.
Yeah.
The other people that are high risk for alcoholism, say the data, are people who take their first drink before age 14.
Okay.
So
Yeah, of course.
yeah. So
when was yours?
I remember I'm still friends with the dude whose house we did. Don't do this, River. Man, I've never talked about this. I was probably 11 the first time I drank.
11?
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
I was 11.
But isn't that illegal? Like
It's definitely not legal.
I said,
Yeah.
yeah.
I do not recommend it. I mean, but I remember we were I was at a buddy's house and he was like, my parents have alcohol. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, we should drink. And then,
What happened? Was it spectacular? Did you get sick?
I just felt kind of dizzy and not that great. I definitely am not in the 8% of people that
Yeah.
like alcohol. In fact, I went to a university where people drank a lot.
Sure.
And I had to push myself to partake. I was not really into it. And I got into health and taking care of myself pretty early, but I definitely partied in college.
Yeah.
I I mean, comparing myself to the people around me wouldn't be appropriate because people at my college partied so hard.
What school was that?
UC Santa Barbara.
Oh yeah, I knew
Yeah.
that. Awesome.
So it was like
Such a party
it
school.
was like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I always said UC Santa Barbara at that time, not now perhaps, but when I went there, it like discovered alcoholics.
When I went to visit you,
Yeah.
I went to visit Santa Barbara, and man, we saw the most killer punk band on State
Oh, there's
Street.
some great
Oh
bands.
my God,
It was great music. It was a great town. It's basically 1 square mile of all these kids living in the town of Isla Vista. But yeah, it was an alcohol holocaust, man. It was crazy. It was crazy.
I made it into their clink 3 separate times, Santa Barbara.
Clink, like
Yeah.
jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
For getting too rowdy on
Oh,
State
man.
Street.
Yeah, I mean, college was this whole thing with, and I was really, at that point, I made the transition from really wild and unhappy and unwieldy youth into school and structure. And,
Sure.
And I was already working out and taking care of myself. Fitness helped me a lot because now we think of like not drinking or drinking less for people, and health and fitness is kind of one and the same. But back then, saying I'm not going to go party, I'm going to study, or I lived alone after my first year.
I lived lame back then.
Oh, I took so much heat, but I've never been prone to peer pressure.
Yeah, really?
I learned, and I reinforced that there because people be like, dude, why you study so much? And I'm thinking to myself, because I got to dig myself out of this hole. There was a bunch of things, and we can get into it if you want, but by the time I arrived in college, I went there because my high school girlfriend went there, and because I came up for a while in the skateboard punk rock thing, I got to see a lot of people soar and do incredible things with their life, start companies, become pro skateboarders. I saw a lot of people destroy their lives. And so by the time I got to college, I had seen a lot of what other people around me were experiencing for the first time away from home and all this. But I do want to be clear. UC Santa Barbara also had some amazing elements to it. Like Jack Johnson was in my class.
What?
Yeah, his now wife, Kim, was friends with my then girlfriend. Like we were all part of the same community. He was always, it's interesting. Jack has always been just the nicest dude. And he was always spectacular. He was just always just inherently nice. And Kim's a wonderful person, also incredibly nice. And it's one of these things where I will also say he was always also much cooler than everybody else. Like
then.
Yeah, just back then. Like he played in a band. He wasn't the lead singer either.
Yeah.
He was like, but he was really into it. He played. He was part of this band. Their name was Soil. They do these backyard parties, and they had a community built up around them. It was years later. I was in graduate school, and I logged on to iTunes, and I was like, what? Like I knew he was a pro surfer, but I didn't
rediscovered him.
I just didn't know that he had made it big in music because I'd been so nose down in the lab working.
Yeah.
And my music taste has always been pretty niche. I've been like, I could give a doctoral thesis on punk rock and first wave, second wave, third wave, fourth wave, and who's it. But when it comes to kind of broader music, like I'm ignorant of most other forms of music, except maybe a few other genres. So, but anyway, it's been awesome to see him be super successful, but also he had it under control, right? He surfed, he played music, he locked it down with Kim early. They created a family. Like some people are like that. And then the rest of us were just like trying to figure it out. I'm sure he had his struggles, right? But he seems to have navigated all those exceedingly well. I was in this place where by the time I got to college, some of my friends back home were fully addicted to pills. One of them died, then another one died. There was a couple suicides. I mean, it was.
Oh man.
So I was watching it around me, and it made it with these other kids that I knew how that plays out. And so I was like, okay, well, some percentage of these people are just going to crash and burn. It's going to take a few years.
Yeah.
But they're going to crash and burn. And it might not crash and burn in suicide or in addiction, but maybe they're going to be 300 pounds. I had a friend, won't say
maybe
who,
they'll just be unhappy for the rest of
or just unhappy,
which is just as
I mean, so the not drinking thing for me came much later.
Maybe they'll squander their potential forever.
Yeah. So, but I think I found it pretty easy early on because in high school I hung out with skateboarders, and that wasn't popular back then.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty easy to just like blow off everyone and ignore peer pressure. And I always had friends from other walks of life. But then by the time I got to college and my first year, I partied a lot. And then after I got serious and people give me a hard time about it, I'd be like, yeah, once I decide I'm into something, it's very easy for me to just, to not succumb to peer pressure to do something else.
Yeah.
Peer pressure just doesn't work on me. River, let me ask,
I like
you like peer pressure?
I like pressure. Like whenever I get pressure, I usually do really good. I feel like that's like
But what about
Well,
when
wait,
your
peer
friends?
pressure is different.
Peer pressure is when your friends or when people around you are trying to encourage you to do something and you don't want to do it, but you feel like maybe you should or you have to because they're encouraging you to do it.
yeah.
Do you? What's your stance on peer pressure?
Well, like if they're encouraging you and you don't want to do it, like I feel like it's hard to stand up. Like you might do it just because they're your friends and they have a big influence on you. But like I feel like when you stand up, it really will help you learn and like the more you do that, the easier it gets.
Totally. Yeah, well put. I've said this before publicly, but I think I'll say it again. There's this weird thing about alcohol
Yeah.
where if you don't drink, people try and convince you that you have a problem.
It
Where-
is a weird thing.
It's weird. No, that doesn't happen for anything else. You know, they'll say, "Oh, come on," or like, "Oh, that's boring." You know, it's interesting. Much later in my life, when I went into science, right, became a scientist and professor, you'd go to these meetings. Everyone would drink a lot, and I wasn't drinking. I wasn't, or if I drank, I have just a little bit back then, but I didn't like it. And people would give me the hardest time. Or you'd go out to dinner with people, and they're like, "Here, do you want to?" I'm like, "No, I'm good." And they're like, "Oh, are you something up?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not drinking." They're like, "That's boring." And I'm like,
yeah.
interesting. I remember feeling like, really, is it that boring? I don't need alcohol to say whatever's on my mind.
Yeah.
I don't.
Same.
And you definitely don't. And I can remember being at a few meetings later and looking around the table at my colleagues, not all of them, because some
Yeah.
of them take really good care of themselves. And I go, man, really obese and had a quadruple bypass. One of the most famous guys in our field of neuroscience. He's kind of considered the dean of our little subfield, not the dean of my school. I want to be very clear.
Yeah. Got it.
Like he was very highly revered and he would drink and he would boast about his quadruple bypass or triple bypass. And I was like, he's basically boasting about being fat and unhealthy. And I was like, what is this? And I realized it was kind of a bravado, like I can overcome death. And listen, everyone's entitled to live their life the way they want, but I can look at that and go, man, if I look half as unhealthy as you do in 10 years or 20 years, I'll be pretty disappointed in myself.
I'll be disappointed with
I
myself.
see it as a lack of self-respect to not take care of the body that God gave me.
Yeah.
I feel it as a lack of self-respect, but that doesn't mean I judge other people for not taking care of themselves.
Such a jerk move.
But I don't go around trying to convince people that they should self-harm. And so I realized even within the field of science, right? It doesn't matter if you're in music or you're in skateboarding, you're in science. There's like this culture. There was literally a budget for alcohol. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to give people a hard time for having a glass of wine or two, but that's not what this was. And so I realized, I was like, wow, the culture of alcohol is built around convincing others to partake with you so you don't feel as bad about the fact that you're basically self-harming.
You want to know something that's even crazier is I will have, let's say, a dinner party or I'll have an art show. And even though I'm so passionate about living this way, if I hear that someone I know, let's say someone that doesn't have a real problem with alcohol, and they go, "Oh yeah, I'm like not drinking tonight," and they're coming to a social thing I'm having, I will peer pressure and be like, maybe you should. I'm like, and then I'll sort of catch myself. I'm like, what am I doing?
Well, because it's so ingrained, and I want to be really clear. I don't give people a hard time for it.
I know you don't.
And some people don't have problems with alcohol. They can have a drink or two drinks. I mean, the data now are very, very clear. For a long
If you were
time,
having a dinner party though, and someone said, "I'm not drinking," would you be like, "Yeah, it's a little bit more fun"?
no,
there's a side of me that would.
I don't believe in pressuring people to do things. I just don't.
Yeah.
Go back to that punk rock ethos. Is like, it's your life. You get to live free. You have to deal with the consequences of that.
Sure.
But like, I'm not going to. I'm not a cop. I'm not going to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
If they're not harming anyone else, I'm not going to tell them what to do. But it's been interesting over the years to see how even in these fields that are like, or these genres of life that are not about music or skateboarding or being wild or college, that there does seem to be this need that some people have to be inebriated, drunk, or just a little tipsy to take the edge off. I don't have that. And I never really had it. So giving up alcohol for me was a pretty easy ride. I mean, I've had other challenges, but giving up alcohol was an easy step. But I've had friends like you that for them, it was just the gnarliest thing ever. But I want to get to something that you said before, because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. Because I recently had a friend take his own life. And we've known a lot of people that have done this, sadly.
Too many.
It's just way too many. And I went to the high school in Palo Alto, Gun High School of all things, GUNN, where they've had, I think, more suicides than any other school in the country. And there it's probably academic pressure and there are a bunch of things. But in any case, so I have a theory, and it may pertain to women also, but I can only state this for men because I'm male and it's the only life I've ever lived. So that's my frame of reference, which is that I do think that at some point in life, men have something in their mind based on their experience somewhere in life where it's like a point of shame, or they feel like they're not enough. And so then they spend a good portion of their life trying to prove that they're enough, or that they're not that thing, or that they are something else. So maybe it's that they're not a wimp, or that they are something else. It could be any different thing. It could come from parents, could come from peers, but it's like this thing that lives in your head, that you have to prove. And that thing becomes the thing that comes close to destroying them or destroys them.
It's crazy that you're saying this. Our mutual friend, Blake Mycoskie, who founded Tom's Shoes, had accomplished all this stuff. One of the scariest things that I have seen is he got to a place that was so low and dark that at one point I was looking at his eyes and I felt like I was looking at someone that like a voodoo priestess had taken their soul or something. It was one of the scariest things I've ever seen, like the darkness in somebody's eyes. And he got to a place that was so terrible. He now is like on fire.
Yeah, he's doing
with
great.
The word
is what I hear and see.
I'm wearing a bracelet. It says enough. He's changed his entire life.
That's awesome.
All he wants to do is help people with this mental health stuff.
That's awesome. It's so interesting because for years I would hear this, right? Like you'd hear this in the self-help literature, like, you are enough. But I guess what I've been doing recently is thinking about like what is that really about? Yeah. And I think it's different for different people.
Sure.
And I've just seen by observing a number of people in my life, and by the way, some of these people were physicians.
Totally accomplished,
MDs.
right?
Some people hyper accomplished. Yeah. In fact, it's the myth of the hyper accomplished. And people will say, oh, well, gosh, they had everything. They had the wife, the kid, the degrees, the role in life. And like, how could it be?
Navy SEALs.
And there it's interesting because we know a number of people from the team's community, and there it's easier for people who are not in the community to draw the straight line between, they did and saw really gnarly traumatic things and they map that to self-harm later. Yeah. But what I've come to realize, and I talk to a lot of men, right? And go to a lot of meetings, and I've come to realize that this thing about not enough, almost always, if people spend some time with it for themselves, it comes down to like one place where they felt like they needed to prove to themselves and or the world that they were something or were not something else. And I actually believe this. So I view this now purely through a biblical lens. So I believe this. I believe that evil forces are real. I believe that the devil gets into men's heads.
Okay.
And finds
not just not just the opposite of God, but the devil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finds their, and that could be in the form of energy. It could be, depending on people's beliefs, it's one thing or another. But I'm looking at this lately through a purely biblical lens because that's where it's been written about so clearly.
Sure.
That it doesn't, that exactly what you're talking about when you talk about evil, right?
Yeah, of course.
And the way it seems to work is this. The man, the boy, has a point of shame where they feel that they're not enough and they need to be something or to avoid being something else. At some point in their life, the devil offers a temptation. And that temptation is always the way that they can overcome thinking about that and maybe even give themselves the illusion that they're not the thing that they're ashamed of potentially being, or that they could become the thing that they want to be so desperately, that they could create themselves there. And that becomes this pursuit, and it drives them and drives them. And it's often in parallel to their life building big things, important things, family, work, businesses, artistic careers, scientific careers, whatever it is. And then at some point, that thing becomes the point of shame. The very thing that they had the illusion was going to help them overcome shame. The devil uses it to shame you. And that's when you realize, well, for some guys, they don't make it through. They don't realize anything. I mean, my friend recently took his own life. It was exactly this, quote unquote, had everything. But there was one place where people might argue he was weak, but I would argue there was a point of shame that he was striving to overcome. And eventually that became the point of shame. And he couldn't bear it. He couldn't bear that reality, and he took himself out of life. This is somebody with 2 children, a wife, a flourishing career, and you just go, how could it be? And people go, I didn't know he was depressed. He wasn't depressed. This isn't depression. What we're talking about here is not depression. It's absolute terror at the reality of what they did. But I do think that it starts with this seed of not feeling like enough. A temptation is offered, or you come across a temptation or something, some activity or some substance that helps you avoid it, or even convince yourself that you're overcoming it. And then eventually it's like a mirror that turns and everything's in reverse, and boom. And that's the moment that
it's like the medicine that you think is going to make you feel enough ends up being what is the most destructive thing of all.
That's right. And I don't.
The medicine is worse than the disease.
Right. The medicine becomes the disease. Exactly. Yeah. And so I actually think that the most useful thing that I wish I had heard, like when I was in my teens or something, maybe when I was like 14, 15, you're getting this a little early, but would have been if someone would have sat me down and said, listen, the thing that you're most afraid of, that's the thing to really think about.
Totally.
Just the thing to really hold. I'm not saying you shouldn't be afraid of it.
No,
like
100%.
Maybe I do think that maybe there are areas in all of us that we need to learn to be stronger or overcome, or, but you have to be very, very careful how you go about dealing with that. So you almost need to put that in a glass case in your room, not a case where you can't see it, but like a glass case where it's locked there and you can see it and understand it, because life happens in real time, and pretty soon you're dealing with school, you're dealing with girlfriends, you're dealing with your career, and you don't have quote unquote time until it all comes crashing down. So this thing about a point of shame or a fear being this thing that, and again, I don't know that it's uniquely male, but I just feel like every guy I know who overcomes addiction, every guy I know who took himself out, I can map that to some area of their life where they were trying to overcome or hide something or become something for fear of not becoming something else. And it's wild because sometimes it's not, let's be less vague. I don't know that it's about not being tough enough or not being wealthy enough. It's different things for different people. But these are people that are very, very secure in every other aspect of their life. And they're like hyper functional.
Watching this,
sometimes they're not hyper functional.
Yeah. So watching this and wave some more. Watching this documentary about the SEALs who are overcoming all this intense PTSD, and seeing them talk about not feeling like they were enough after accomplishing all this stuff and being forced to step out and take a more of an administrative role and all of a sudden having this voice in them that would just tell them, "Oh, you're dog shit now." It's like seeing these hyper accomplished individuals go through what they went, I think is like a great lesson for anybody who it's so easy to relate to any of these feelings.
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys, I mean, like DJ Shipley was on my podcast.
Dude, that was a great interview.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah,
Oh my
DJ is amazing, and we share a certain kinship. Obviously, I wasn't in the SEAL teams, but he grew up skateboarding.
Yeah.
And so we kind of had that in common. And Marcus and Amber Capone, who've been spearheading a lot of this Ibogaine initiative for
Dude,
treatment
his
of people.
wife is so cool.
They're very cool.
That documentary was as much about badass wives as it was about badass dudes.
Well, it's interesting because I've been going to these veteran solutions things on Veterans Day down in Coronado for a few
Yeah.
years now. I didn't go this last year, but they're the guys that made it through. And then there are also the really hard stories of the ones that didn't,
Yeah.
And who took their own lives. And
My father, Vietnam just wrecked him, and it ate at him, and it ate at him, and then he would drink to make whatever was
Yeah.
going on in his head go away.
But sometimes I think it probably just made it worse. Like
Made it worse.
you have one addiction, you don't need another. Like you don't need another addiction to help you. Sometimes
You have
Lem-
one trauma, you don't
Yeah.
need another addiction on top of it. Yeah.
well, let me ask you this, Robert. Like I've noticed with social media that like I teach on social media. I like social media. I use it, but I have a lockbox so I have social media on a specific phone. It's not on my main phone. So if somebody sends me
Yeah.
like an Instagram I can't see it. I have this separate phone that I use to like record and post. And I like social media. I'll get on there. But I purposely put it on another phone so that it doesn't interfere with the rest of my life. And then I have this lockbox. And this lockbox, you can either just lock it.
Yeah.
It also has a function where you have to press a code to get your phone out. It also has like a Supermax prison version where
no.
you put a time in and no matter what you do, you can't get it out. So lately I've been
Dude, I need to do that. I have developed an unhealthy and it's because of this podcast.
Well, no, it's because
I'll
the
check it.
algorithm knows you. It knows you better than you know you. It knows what's going to keep you. If it can't get you with a like for me like a bulldog video, it'll get me with something else. Like
Yeah.
it's you're trying to fight a tank on a bicycle, and it's just you're not going to succeed. So this thing is awesome because what I'll do is I'll put it in and I'll put it on Supermax mode
Yeah.
and I'll start dialing up and I'll be like, okay, 3 hours. I'm gonna work for 3 hours and not look at this thing. And then I'll just go. And I have this fun game that I play with it.
Yeah.
And I go 8 hours and I put it in there and I lock it and I go, oh man, that's good. And you get this feeling of satisfaction, like you're overcoming it. But then what's really funny is you'll go to your other phone and you'll be like YouTube or something. You have to be really careful because the way these things are built, they'll have you doing the thing, observing yourself doing the thing, and you don't even want to be doing it, but you're doing it. So I have a question for you. Do you ever find yourself like what's something you really enjoy? Let's not make this so heavy. What do you like? Video games? Do you like
I mean, I really enjoy
YouTube?
sports.
You like they're real sports, playing sports.
Yes.
Well, that's a healthy kid.
He
So
loves video games.
yeah.
I
crazy.
love video games and I really love sports.
How do you balance like your love of sports,
sit here for a second.
which is good for you? I mean, sports are good for you. You still have to go to school. Do you like school? Yeah. What's your favorite class?
Ooh, that's hard.
Well, you can name a couple.
Well, I've either math, probably math, yeah. That's probably my favorite class.
Great. What's your least favorite class?
Writing.
Writing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Where do you sit when you go into the math class?
Well, we have assigned spots.
Assigned seats?
Yeah. Well, that teacher observes who works together good and who doesn't work together good. And then they put you with someone who you can work together with really well.
Mm.
Not someone who's gonna be give you the answer, but something that's gonna I don't know, work you through it.
Do you like being in co-working with kids that are as good at math as you, or better?
I like working with people who have who have not the same mindset, but like either I like either a little worse than me so I can teach them, or a little better than me, or better than me so they can teach me.
Mhm. We have this saying it when you have a laboratory and you want to learn a technique. We go watch one, do one, teach one.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Like you'll watch someone do the thing you're trying to do, then you'll do that. Usually you do it a bunch, and then you'll teach it to somebody else, and that's the way you realize what you do and don't know.
Yeah.
Like teaching is a great way to discover what you do and don't know.
But like when I teach, I want to teach someone who not is like too far away from how smart I am, but like just not. When I teach someone, I want them to be like pretty smart, but not dumb or anything like that.
Yeah,
I
well,
want
that's why they have grades.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's why. I mean, you said you're in fourth grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to try and teach, fourth grade math to a first grader.
Yeah.
It's just it's like playing soccer against first graders. It's not any fun.
Yeah.
Somebody's just gonna get, who's gonna win. That's no fun. You want to be appropriately challenged. There was this guy some years ago. He's a psychologist. He has the craziest last name. It's impossible to spell and almost harder to say. It's Csikszentmihalyi.
Csikszentmihalyi?
Csikszentmihalyi.
That's
And he invented this concept of flow. And a lot of people think flow is like when you're really in the groove, but it originally was his research showing that the best learning situation and what feels best to us is when something's challenging, but like within our reach, like we're just able to get it.
Yeah.
Not something so difficult that we can't do it, and not something so easy. Because get this, brain plasticity, that's how your brain wires and changes. That's how you learn. If you don't get things wrong, your brain doesn't change.
Yeah.
Because why would it change? Like if you can do everything you need to do, your brain's got no reason to change. But the brain's awesome. If it feels like you're failing at something, it creates this like, this agitation. And then when you're agitated or you're focused or both, then you are in a unique situation to be able to learn faster. It's pretty cool. Your brain's smart. It doesn't change if it doesn't have to. But if you're like, this is hard, then it's like ready to change. I mean, when I was in preschool, maybe it was in like the first grade, I remember there were these two twins that were super wild. One of them pooped in a cubby. It's crazy. Like, what? I remember, we had to go home. Yeah. I talked my mom and I the other day, we were kind of reminiscing about stories, and like, I remember they were these two wild twins. They were identical twin boys. One of them pooped in a cubby. Yeah. Yeah. In the middle of the day. Yeah. I forget who discovered it, but they cleared us out. They had to do the whole thing. It was pretty intense because they had to like interview us all to figure out who did it. It was really uncomfortable because like for those of us that didn't do it, we were like, and they're like, did you do it? And we were like, no. And they're like, I forget how they actually got to the like the culprit, but they eventually found out. Yeah.
You know what might have sucked? So like, let's say you found the culprit, but then since they're identical twin boys, you might
get the wrong one.
And you might like when you're spreading a rumor or something about that, you might eat like
totally.
That could get like to the other one very easily. So
totally take the blame. Take the blame. That's why, like with when people commit crimes and they do those lineups where they go, was this the person? Was this the person? Like sometimes people get those wrong because people just like look alike. So yeah, but twins. I've had a few friends that were twins over the years, and they back each other. So I'm guessing that both of them probably like were willing to like take the fall for the other brother. But I don't know who did it. I don't know which one of those kids did it, but it was rough. That was rough. I mean, we had windows in there, but it was rough. It took like a couple days for us to recover. Yeah, that was intense.
Well, I feel like one of the twins could have just like, I'm going to put you under the bus because I am not getting blamed for this.
Oh, yeah. If you don't poop in the cubby, do not take the blame for pooping in the cubby.
Yeah.
If you do, then you got to take the blame. But I recommend you don't do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, one of the twins could have been like, it was him. Like, it would have been very easy to do that.
I think in this case, I think they figured this one out pretty quick. Yeah, that was rough. That was rough.
River had one question that he didn't want to forget to ask you, and it was about the water particle.
Oh yeah. So when I've heard that when you say something mean to like there's like a thing of water, and then you say something mean or something like I'm stupid or something like that, the water particles will turn ugly. Is it the same thing like saying like I'm gonna drink alcohol? Would that also change the water particle?
Huh. Well, I haven't heard this thing about the water changing, but here's the thing that's interesting. Well, we'll talk about this in a little bit about how light gets absorbed by the water in your cells and charges you like a battery.
Yeah.
Did you know this? This is wild.
I never.
Yeah, we have to talk about this. You are basically solar powered. It's so crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, they've done these experiments where they take tears of joy versus tears of sadness and look at them under the microscope, and they look different, but that's probably because they have different chemicals in them.
Yeah.
Tears are really interesting. Humans are one of the only species, as far as I know,
I've heard that.
that express tears for emotion.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, that shed tears for emotion. And other animals have lacrimal glands, which are what produce tears, and tears are for lubrication of the eyes, et cetera. There are other things for lubrication of the eyes too, but I didn't know that.
I didn't even know they had actual emotions. I thought it was different
Other animals?
versions of pain or fear.
So for a long time, this is one of the places where biblical text is harsh, and
Yeah.
there was this idea that like we are different than the other animals, right?
Yeah.
We're the curators of the earth. We make plans. I always joke, if Costello made plans, he was never very good about following through on those plans, right? But animals have emotions. They absolutely have emotions. They have all the brain centers that we do involved in emotion. They feel loneliness. They feel pain. They feel sadness. They feel kinship. I mean, when you form a relationship with a dog and you're its person, you are it's taking the circuitry in its brain that would normally go to its mother or its other pack members, and it's like mapping that to you.
Yeah.
And I also think that there are parts of the human brain that map to the dog. I remember when Costello was a puppy. This is so crazy, dude. I was a junior professor, so that meant I didn't have tenure yet. And tenure is just when you have job security, basically. But I'm like, I've got a lab. I got all these students, and I've got this like 9-week-old bulldog puppy, and he was hella cute. He looked like a little lunchbox in like baggy pajamas. He was super cute. But I was raising him, and I was like housebreaking him, and I was spending all this time with him. And I went upstairs to a faculty meeting on Friday, and someone was presenting something. They were writing it on the board, and I looked down at my sleeve, and it had all this like dog barf on it or something.
Oh God.
Dog
Okay.
spit up, just dog spit up. And the person presenting, I looked, and his mouth was just moving. And all I could think about was, is Costello okay? Is Costello okay?
Oh man.
And I realized in that moment, I was like, this is what my friends who have kids, it's like there's a circuit in my brain that's designed to just take care of this creature, probably
Yeah.
there for human children, not for bulldogs. But he had hijacked that circuit in my brain. And so I realized, I was like, and he and I were forever bonded. I still feel him as a being, even though he's passed. So, I mean, I think that you asked, does the structure, we got onto this because of tears, but does the structure of water change with alcohol? Look, some people can have a drink or two, no biggie.
Yeah.
The data say none is better than any. And some people have one sip and it sends them down a very dark path. I will tell you something, since we're having this conversation, and you are definitely your father's son, genetically related to him in every way. And I know your mom too, and they're amazing parents. But the fact that your dad had issues with addiction means you got to be extra careful.
Yeah.
I've had dozens of friends, male and female, who are perfect examples of the fact that one of their parents had an addiction, and it looks different in their kid. So their kid will sometimes be like, well, I don't drink as much as my dad or this, but it always looks different. You're going to have to be careful. I'll never tell you what you can and shouldn't do. That's his job. And then that's ultimately your job.
Yeah.
That's between you and God. But you're going to have to be extra careful with that, because you are blessed with so many incredible things by virtue of the fact that Tyler is your dad. And at the same time, that's a road that in 5,
I'd say
10, how old do you know?
I'm 9.
So in 5 to 10 years, life is going to ask you about that, and you're going to have a response ready. And while this seems like kind of an odd conversation to have with a kid your age, I wish someone had sat me down when I was your age and said, hey, whatever it is that in life that you feel not as secure about or that you're like afraid of, that's the thing that you have to think hardest about and what you do with that. So just beware. I'm not saying you're your own man,
Yeah.
but that's a real thing.
I've definitely gotten some of my dad's genetics about alcohol. Same thing with me. I am also allergic to it. So I might have gotten some of those some of
You've
that
tried
DNA,
alcohol?
but no, I've never tried alcohol.
All right, well, that's good.
I've
We-
tried a sip of beer but nothing else.
We told him that he's probably allergic to it.
I am probably and when I
You may
did that-
never be able to drink. You may be one of the people that just cannot ever try. Here's a cool fact.
When did you try a sip of beer?
remember, like, I think it was in Guatemala. There was like this drink. It was like a
Your dad's like,
passion-
"Mm."
it was, like,
No,
some passion
an accident or something.
like the tiniest thing of beer, and I only took a sip of that, so I probably got like 3 molecules of alcohol from that, like, and I was still puffy from that. Well, I wasn't puffy, but like my cheeks were red, so
Does your mom drink? Can Jackie drink?
Jackie can drink,
Uh-huh.
and she doesn't have an issue with it.
It's interesting. Right before I got here, I saw that Conor McGregor,
Yeah.
MMA fighter who has had incredible success in MMA, but has also had a lot of challenges with alcohol-related things and et cetera, went down to Ambio and did this whole ibogaine thing and is
What happened?
embraced sobriety and spirituality. He's talking about God and sobriety now, and yeah, he's like fully expressing his love of Christ, and he's
Oh my
sober.
God, beautiful.
It's interesting to see. He's another shining example of somebody who was incredibly successful, but he had. We call it people having their demons, right? Some of it can be genetic, can be like preloaded by genetics, like a tendency or a leaning. Some of it's like coming into the world with one leg just a tiny bit shorter than the other, and so people will tend to like turn left. It's kind of like that, but in the mind. Some people it's circumstantial, and when people are super successful for a while, you can also people around you will yes you. They'll because you're often the person providing the fun.
Yeah.
But even if you're not a hyper successful person, everyone needs to be concerned about what they're coming into the world with in terms of genetic leanings towards addiction or not. And also, but these points of shame, these points of shame. And it's not, I want to be really clear. It's not like you've done something you're ashamed of. It's that you're afraid that maybe you're not smart enough, man enough, hardworking enough. But that thing becomes the devil's like path to you.
It's so wild.
But at some point, if you turn that over to higher power and you just ask for help with it, it becomes so much easier. It's not going to do it for you, but it's like this weird thing that no scientist can possibly explain. Why would it be that loosening your grip on the process would make it easier?
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad's told me this a lot of times. Your sister is how good and nice your sister is a huge part of your reputation. Maybe like 30-25% of your reputation is how much you up your sister and how much you like teach her. Because like the better your sister is, the more like the chances it's going to reflect on you and you're going to get better like that.
And you're friends for life. I talked to my sister this morning. My sister and I are unbelievably close. Part of that is because when we were younger, our family traveled and it was just me and her, and we were in a country where we didn't speak the language. And so we had to be homies because we couldn't talk to the other kids. And then part of it is also she's just cool. And then part of it is that, you know, because my parents split, like she was like a stable force and all that.
Yeah.
So we like stuck it out. But your parents are together, which is rad. I love seeing when families stay together. And you, yeah, man, like you're right that the better she does, the better for both of you. But not just because of how it reflects on you. It's also just like you're gonna feel so good seeing your sister thrive. You're gonna feel so good. Like, also, you're the big brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to teach her, like, I need to protect her and, like, keep her away from bad influences. Like,
Mm-hmm.
whenever, like, I just need to help her and make sure she's okay.
Do you go to the same school?
Yes, we do.
Do you check up on her at school?
Not much because, like, she's in a huge classroom and we probably only see her, like, each other, like, twice or 3 times a day, so because, like, when I'm going to lunch, she might be going to, like, PE or something, so I might see her then, or, like, when she's going to her class, I'm probably, like, walking from lunch to somewhere, so
But if she ever needs anything from you,
Yeah.
she can find you.
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
She knows where I am.
Yeah. And she can also help you too. I mean, she's a couple years younger than you, right?
She's 2 years younger than
2
me.
years younger. So that's about the separation between me and my sister. She can also help you because girls see stuff that about the world that dudes
Boys can't
don't see. Yeah. You see stuff she doesn't see,
Yeah.
but they see stuff you can't see. So you guys can help each other out. It's like having like a rear view mirror, side view mirrors on the car and stuff. And like, you know, dudes are really good at like seeing what's like in front of the windshield and probably less good at like all the stuff that's coming in at angles, you know?
Well, I've heard that society is like a block tower where like you're and then like the family's the for a person, like the family's the bottom, and then it would probably be like your sister, brother, and then your mom. But then for like economics, it might be like stocks, money, and then something else. Because like
He's got the whole system worked out, man.
Yeah.
Dude, you have unbelievable levels of knowledge and wisdom. Where's God in that picture?
you got the family, and then when you add like God and stuff, you can really like keep that tower up.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take a block away, the tower might crumble.
Well, what I'm hearing and what's coming to mind is the idea that, yeah, like the tower that is built up with family and work and friends and all that stuff. They're these pillars, right? Like any building is like built into the earth, especially in California where we have earthquakes. Built in, by the way, earthquakes when they happen, you hear them before you feel them. I grew up in the edge, it's really loud, but then all you do is you just get under it. Most of the time, not that no one gets hurt. You just, they used to say duck and cover. Get under. You want to get like under some more like in a door frame. But anyway, the point being, it's the pillars. It's how deep those go. That's the stability of the thing. So you want to, the foundation. I mean, I personally have found, and I wish I'd come to this earlier, although secretly I always prayed that having a prayer practice is really helpful. I know you go to church, but do you guys pray
pretty
together?
much every week, and then we also pray together as a family.
Awesome. You pray together as a family? When do you do that?
I would say once, twice a week. We don't have a set time, but once, twice a week, we just find ourselves all together, and we get into.
You take turns?
Yeah, we go around the circle.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We do that. We did that at a meeting recently. For some reason,
amazing.
Me and some other folks at the meeting just did that, and it was super powerful.
Oh, cool.
Like it was not planned. It just like happened, and it was like, whoa. It was. That's great that you have that.
Stop touching your face.
Dads are always like, they just. I didn't even know. You want me to do it too?
No.
I think like the devil. Well, I feel like the devil and drugs and like gambling is the like sledgehammer or the earthquake that's always trying to beat those pillars down. But the deeper those pillars go, the harder it is, and the less they're gonna affect you.
100%. I mean, Dude, you are headed into life. You're already in life, but you are headed into and through life with an immense amount of wisdom and clarity. How much has your dad's I mean, you wouldn't wish it on anyone, but you're seeing your dad go through addiction, recovery, and then finally recovery. How much has that shaped the way you think about life?
I feel like for my dad, it's like a lot easier to learn from his mistakes because it's a lot easier for him to share that with you and stuff like that than it is for someone else. And I feel like it just really shapes like what you want to do, and it's just a lot easier to like it'll really help you like when it shapes you, like you're gonna be a lot of a better person when your dad's like sharing that with you. Like I feel like now that I've seen what he's gone through and how bad it is, like I don't like you don't want to do what he did wrong.
Yeah.
And then like the more generations that comes through, the more knowledge and wisdom the next person will get.
Beautiful. My recollection is that you had gone to rehab,
Mhm.
came out, relapsed, went back to rehab, came out, relapsed. And at some point, I think I talked to Jackie and she goes, yeah, you know, he's going to this place and he's going to give it another run
Mhm.
at Sobriety. And I remember hearing about the place and where my mind was back then. I was thinking to myself, like, why would this be any different? You know, what was different about the last time?
Oh, that's a um
I was going to say something earlier. Do you know what's really, really cool?
What?
It is impossible to get addicted to something that you never try.
Yeah.
And people forget that and they go, duh, and they go, ugh. But if you think about it, how awesome is that? There's no world where you suddenly are addicted to alcohol without trying it,
Yeah.
right? Or you're addicted. What that means is if you never try something, if you never touch it, it can never get you. That is incredible. That is a gift of God. That's a gift of brain wiring. And I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? That's your parents' job until you're 18 and then it's your job. But ultimately, it's like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And a lot of guys I grew up with didn't know that. It was like, and a lot of guys rolled the dice against the odds.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, oh, I heard they say if you try this one thing just once that it gets you the first time you're addicted to it. That's not true. And then, I mean, every single one of those stories played out in a bad direction. Some of them fell off the cliff and some
You're
of them
absolutely right.
didn't. So that's something that I just wish that more people knew. So I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that like
Very good. Sit,
I
sit
feel
over.
like that's some really good knowledge now. I'm not.
Okay,
I
you're-
don't wanna
so
go-
you're on
I'm gonna
camera.
go on your lap.
Yeah. Your dad loves you, man. He was just looking out for your well-being.
I've heard that like until you're 21, your decision making is like there's a part of your brain that's like your decision making, and I've heard this from my mom. Like until you're 21, that part of your brain is not fully formed.
Well, get this. She's right, but it's even wilder than that. And most people don't know this. Okay, you have two kinds of brain cells, broadly speaking. You have neurons, which are the ones that communicate with one another, let us speak, etc. And then you have these cells called glia. It means glue in Latin, and they kind of insulate the wires. They do other things too, but they allow the communication between neurons to be really, really fast. And the glia making certain pathways fast and other ones slower and stuff, like they're super critical for how your brain works. Your brain and the glia are not done organizing themselves and setting everything up until you're 50.
Oh my
No
God.
way. That's
50. And no kidding, if you're a dude, it's 50. And apparently women, it's a little earlier. You know, and I don't say that to be politically
I
correct.
thought we were done.
It's true.
At like
No,
30.
this whole thing like brain wiring isn't
Wow.
until 21. Yeah, it's pretty much until 50.
Wow.
50. So that doesn't mean you have a long time to get it right. What it means is that you're not like as you can never be as certain of things until you're 50 as you think you are, you know? And yes, you can tell your mom like that number is pushed out now to 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I have a question. When you're talking about like you can never be as certain of things as you think you are, there's something that has blown me away recently, and I've been doing like a deep dive in like World War II stuff. By the way, this is the most delicious flavor I've ever.
You like the mint one? Okay.
I
The,
s-
the mint lime?
your
I like 'em all.
your interviews go sometimes like your one with DJ went 3.5
Yeah, I
hours.
think Jocko and I did like 5 hours.
Okay, normally I'm good after an hour.
Yeah.
I could just keep going. I'm like,
Yeah.
I could just keep going for
This
good.
stuff's great. What's cool is that it's only got 120 milligrams of caffeine, but it's a really smooth arc, right? How are you feeling?
I
Speaking,
feel really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are we gonna get in trouble for giving a kid caffeine?
A few sips is fine. All I know is I've rarely felt so chatty. I'm like,
Okay.
I'm so on fire for
Are we
this right
gonna?
now.
Are you allowed to drink caffeine?
You
Okay.
can have a couple sips.
I can have that. Well, there's the different thing with my dad's like, yeah, I can have caffeine, but my mom, that's very different.
Yeah, okay, wait. We are a united front, but for this specifically, I was like, yeah, we to discuss. I'm like, he's gonna have a little bit of caffeine. I want
Well,
him to.
there's a photo of me when I was like 3 years old in my Spider-Man pajamas,
Yeah.
drinking yerba mate out of the gourd with my grandfather. So I was ingesting caffeine much younger than you, and I do not recommend drinking too much caffeine.
Yeah.
I really like caffeine, but I feel like I can have less or more of it and be okay. But really, until you're like, I would say 16, 17, 18 is when you could like start drinking a little bit more caffeine. But you never want to you never want to be dependent on
No.
anything.
So this is the thing that I'm hung up right now is Hitler was so convinced that the landing of D-Day was not going to be at Normandy, but it was going to be at Calais. And he was wrong about it. So all of a sudden, the landing happened, D-Day started, and he like absolutely didn't want to believe it. And so he made a gigantic blunder, and he had maybe 200,000 troops waiting at Calais. And it was obvious to everyone around him, all of his generals, everything around him, that he was making a mistake. But everyone just gave him information that reinforced his own opinion about the subject. So all of a sudden, he had this circle around him that only wanted to tell him what he wanted to hear. We have this ability to sort of lie to ourselves and to create this like if we're going to be talking about addiction, to tell ourselves that we need this and we need certain substances in order to be fun or something like this, and we create this like dishonest reality around us.
Well, it
What
goes
is up with
beyond
that?
that. I mean, you're right, and it goes beyond that because I think for the addict, doesn't matter which addiction we're talking about. There's actually an anxiety that comes from not doing the thing eventually, right?
Yeah.
And that's like in the depths of addiction. There's like this compulsion that you feel like you have to, or else, but you can't really put your finger on what the or else is. It's this is why I do think that these are forces of in this case evil, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's a change in brain wiring that occurs when people do certain things or take certain substances that it's neuroplasticity. It's literally, it's like the circuit in the brain. Now there's anxiety if you don't do the thing. And to unwire that requires an immense amount of anxiety tolerance.
Right.
This is one thing that I think is extremely valuable. Like you never want to put yourself in danger, but learning to tolerate anxiety, learning how to tolerate boredom, learning how to tolerate discomfort.
That's huge. Learning how to tolerate
without
boredom.
doing anything. This is the key, right? Unless like, your sister or your mom or somebody needs help, like or you're in danger, right? That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about when you're just feeling discomfort because of a compulsion, you need to learn to just ride that peak and let it subside.
Sure.
But in addiction, the addict brain has and sometimes the circumstances reinforce the idea that it becomes a solution. It temporarily becomes a solution. I think with people around people, I mean, it's easier for wealthy, famous people
Yeah.
to do that. You see this a lot with fighters and, famous actors, and um, they're able to surround themselves with people that are also indulging in all the money and stuff. But it's interesting to see what happens. It's sad to see what happens when all the money's gone and
Yeah.
the person bottoms out. All those people scramble. They're nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be found. And because they're not there for the person, they're there for the role that person is occupying. It's like a couple years ago, I was living in a place in LA. It burned in the fires, but there was a very well-known person who was under Secret Service protection there. Never saw him, never ran into him, but I would talk to the Secret Service folks, and I was like, "Oh, like, how does this whole Secret Service thing work?" And they said, "I think I have this right," but they said, "Oh, former presidents get Secret Service for life.
Sure.
Their children get Secret Service until about Secret Service protection until about 6 months after their parent leaves office, and then they don't." And what you realize is it's the same thing here. The Secret Service is there for the role that the person is in, not for the person, right? So if you're the child of a president,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Okay, but people forget this when they're famous, right? They think that people are coming to them. Some people are coming to them because they're their real friends, but people are approaching them because they want to help. They want them to market a product, or they want them to take them to the party or give them access or to
Yeah.
feel something. But if you just have to ask yourself, if this thing weren't here,
Hmm.
if I wasn't in this role, would this person still be here? And that's
Right.
the clarity. And you can still, do business with the person, you can be friends with them, you might, but they're not there
Would
for
they still be
you.
here? Yeah.
They were never there for you.
Yeah.
They're there for the role that you're occupying.
Sure.
And this is something really important to understand. Like, you have a principal of your school, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, do you like your principal? It's okay. They won't see this.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, cool. We can bleep that part out if you want. But if that person were not the principal of your school, would you still like them?
I don't know, because I probably wouldn't have known them.
Well, let's say you did. Let's say they're no longer the principal of your school. Is this the kind of person you want to
Would you
have
hang out together?
hang out over your house?
Maybe not, no.
Yeah. So no shade on your principal, but maybe they need to work on their genuine connection skills.
Oh, God.
My
We
principal,
love the principal.
I'm just kidding. I don't know the principal of your school, but the point being that there's the role that someone's in, and then there's the person and the people.
I get it.
Real relationships. I mean, look, I am so blessed. I've always been blessed in this way. I have amazing friends. I've had a few friendships that didn't work out, but my friendships, I love and trust those people.
Yeah.
And
You've had great.
I'm very, very, very blessed. And my friends, I like to think understand me, and I'm a tricky one to understand, the way I go into my work tunnels and my cadence of communication stuff. But I mean, and some of them, I was supposed to go hiking with a friend yesterday, and he's super into some work tunnel. I'm like, I get it, 'cause that's totally my vibe.
You're like, no problem.
Yeah. He's a scientist too. So he was like, I've got this problem set and I'm doing this thing. And I was like, totally get it. A lot of people wouldn't get that, but the point is that your real friends in life, they love you for you, not for anything you've accomplished. Nothing that you've accomplished. Your accomplishments could happen or not happen. They just love you for who you are. And I mean, I can say that about my, couple former girlfriends, and not all of them, but a couple of them.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend now. It's just we just love on each other.
We
And I actually don't even think she really, I don't even know if she cares what I do. She just wants me to be happy. I just want her to be happy. We just love on each other. And it's so
I
interesting.
like your girlfriend now. I'm a big fan. She's gorgeous. She's cool.
She got it.
And you also seem like you're happy. You seem really happy.
I'm very happy, and I feel immensely blessed that she's in my life, because she's just so rad.
Yeah.
And she's also just so, and I've felt that before from people, but I've never felt that kind of real resonance where we both are just we just are in constant loving off of we appreciate one another. I think what it really is what you said earlier. It's love and all those great feelings, and and she's beautiful and she's super amazing in all these ways, but it's it's just the comfort and the appreciation. It's the gratitude. I just am wow. Like,
You were around your birthday party and we went hiking before your birthday. You were talking about it's the happiest I've seen you. I think it's the
thanks,
happiest
man.
I've
Yeah,
seen you in a
thanks,
long
man.
time.
Well, we were friends for a long time
Yeah,
first, and I mean, when I met her, we were both in other relationships. It
Sure.
wasn't the right time. We were just always like friends, and I was just like, man, she's just way cool and just way cool. And
Yeah.
and then, yeah, I feel super blessed. And it's funny, like I'm sure at some point we'll have some sort of disagreement. We've never had
Yeah.
disagreement. We don't argue. Like we just are like, you're rad. No, you're rad. Like we're always like, and but she's a strong person. She's a really strong person. Like
It's
she's
awesome.
like and her life trajectory reflects that, and the way she shows up reflects that.
It's
And
amazing.
Jackie's that way. Like I mean, obviously
Jackie's the
you're
best.
like I mean, from day one when I met Jackie, I was like, man, she is so kind, and she's also super strong. Like she is not a pushover,
She's not a pushover.
but she has just got the biggest heart.
Your mom is not a pushover, is she?
No.
Yeah.
No, but I'll tell you, she's a great mom.
I know.
You know,
She's a great mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
She loves God. She loves her family.
mhm.
She's killing. She's her gig, her company right now is killing it.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
like, I feel I'm happy most of the time. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of times I will give myself too much credit and I've kind of figured things out.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm happy all the time. A huge part of it is because I've also picked the right wife. And
Yeah, man, she put up with a lot of your
she put up with
dude. Every once in a while, I'm like, man, like, I mean, she's rad in her own right, but she definitely, I mean, she hung in there with you. You know.
She hung in there with me.
Yep.
I mean, I'm a ton of fun.
Oh, you're an
And-
awesome partner for her
Yeah,
too. That's
awesome
very,
partner.
very clear.
Huge
She's
heart.
not going to hang in there just to hang in there. She's clearly getting a lot out of the relationship too.
But when I
But-
think about I would say the things that got me to a point where I was ready to become sober, which I all of a sudden also was at the same, which you can't do that unless all of a sudden you decide I'm going to love myself as opposed to just trying to destroy myself all the time. The things that made the game changing things. One is how you and I met is when we went to Hoffman together. That was enormous. That was one of the most productive experiences I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, you got a lot out of that.
And that, yeah, dropped a bit of baggage,
Mhm.
and it lightened the load. I also had an experience with ayahuasca that I thought was really helpful.
Yeah, I've never done ayahuasca. What was that like?
The same way that I left Hoffman feeling a bit lighter,
Mhm.
and I had the same thing happen, where all of a sudden I realized that I just was like hating on myself too much, and it took a bit of that away.
You're such a loving guy. It's hard to imagine you hating anything.
I have so much love for people and
I
everything,
know.
but I also had for a long time, I still don't understand it, but I think it was a way that I would motivate myself, a deep kind of hatred. And I don't even recognize that person. I don't even recognize his feelings anymore.
Do you remember that time when you came downstairs to the studio where I was living below your house, and you were like, "Hey, dude, like I'm sober, but like, do you have anything? Like, I need to go work." And I was like,
Oh God.
and I'm like,
Yes.
"Wait, what?" And you're like, "Yeah, just like anything." And I'm like, "No." And you're like, I'm like, "You're sober." And you're like, "Yeah, but I'm not really looking for anything like bad. I just need like," and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, like I've been around long enough to know
No,
what
of
was going
course.
on. And I remember thinking, I was like, damn. And, but you were always so good natured. I think, what's interesting is I've got some addict friends who are
Yeah.
still in the spin. It's really hard to see. They're still in the
It's
spin.
so hard to see.
But those particular people are kind of aggressive against life.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like, it fits more of the stereotype. I'm glad we're talking about this because I think a lot of people think about like the addict, like this like evil person.
Sure.
And it's like, no, like sometimes they're cheerful and they're kind, I know some really great jokes about addicts, but they're not, but they're like, I'm always reluctant to tell them because
I
it's
love
like,
them.
yeah, can I tell a joke about
of
it,
course.
about addicts?
Yeah.
All right. We might have to cut this out. All right. What's the difference between an alcoholic and a drug addict?
What?
An alcoholic will steal your money, go get drunk all day. a drug addict will steal your money, go buy drugs,
Oh God.
get high, and help you look for your wallet all day
Oh
long.
God. That is so true.
And when you hear that, people think, oh, they're these bad diabolical people. Sometimes,
Yeah.
but that joke was told to me by a drug addict. It's really about the drug addict trying to convince themselves that they're not a drug addict.
That's wild. And that's so true. I have to say, it's easy when I talk about addiction or when I talk about friends who are suffering, it's easy to forget that although there are some things in some way are out of our control, it's also um, comprised of a bunch of really selfish decisions. Like once you start recognizing that your behavior hurts other people, you you just can't separate from the fact that you're making very selfish and destructive decisions, not just for yourself, but for those that you love.
Oh, absolutely.
And then that creates a guilt. And if you swallow that guilt and you keep waking up every day and doing the same thing, then that creates a hatred. It's like, I don't want to be around people that lie. I don't want to be around people that are a liability to their family. And I have friends that I love that one of them was just staying on this couch in my gallery the other day because he couldn't be around his family. And I love the guy. And he just, he hated himself for what he was doing, but he
Oh,
couldn't stop doing it.
well, so neuroplasticity, this ability of our brains to change themselves, it can be positive, like you learn something new that you want to learn, makes your life better. It can be negative, like you have a brain injury and you
Yeah.
can't speak as clearly or something. Addiction, whether or not it's behavioral or drugs or alcohol or gambling, whatever, it changes this. They call it reward circuitry, but it's not really about reward. The word that's more appropriate for the biology is reinforcement. It reinforces this loop where the person thinks something's going to solve the problem,
Right.
does the thing, it temporarily solves the problem, and it creates another problem. And then over time, they can even see clearly this is a problem, but they can't get out of that loop. The same way an animal in the zoo is walking around in a circle out of a compulsion, and that, like, it's got sores on its feet, and you're just like, this poor thing, what's it doing? And it's like, that's the circuit. Eventually, it's like a car where like the
Yeah.
chassis is in the line, right? Everything is just kind of like going this way, and no matter how hard they're steering to the left, the thing is just veering
Sure.
to the right, and that's why understanding how one got there is important. But the most important thing when one reaches that point is just to stop. It's like everything has to stop. And anything you put ahead of the stopping, you're going to lose. But it's very hard when somebody is kind of veering, let me ask you this. I was in Hawaii
Yeah.
in 2017, and I was in a like workout sauna thing with a bunch of locals. It's really cool. They all work out together
Sure.
there.
Yeah.
And I was in the sauna afterwards. We were hanging out, and this dude, his name is Kai. He's like a legend over there, and a real positive pillar of the community.
All the legends are named
Yeah.
Kai.
Yeah. And big family, really, really big-hearted guy, and was very kind. Took me into his home, and he said to me, he turned to me in the sauna. He goes, no matter how far you drive, you're always the same distance from the ditch. And I remember thinking, like, that's intense. Like,
That's a great one.
and I was like, whoa, do you think that's true?
I mean,
I think that's the whole point, is that anyone that has any recognition of the defense that they need to have against, let's say, relapsing or all of a sudden turning into someone that they don't want to be anymore, it's one choice. It's
Mhm.
one simple choice that next thing you know, you're on a run. The moment that I have, it's not even just the moment that I would, let's say, make a choice to drink or something. It's the moment that I think I'm going to keep a secret. I think I can I think I can drink and I want to get away with it. All of a sudden I become someone that I wouldn't want to hang out with.
About
Well-
2 years ago, you said, oh, what's up?
well, I think from a biblical perspective, I think what you just said might not be true because the closer you get to like God or something like that, the the farther away you're gonna be from doing bad stuff or something like that. But from like a different perspective, yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the answer to this. I wonder because I've seen people get and stay sober for very long periods of time and not
Yeah.
relapse. They're still alive, so one, they're still in. They still go to meetings. They're
Yeah.
still in the process. So their hands are still on the steering wheel. But I've seen a lot of people relapse many, many times. It's always sad when you see somebody recover for a long period of time and
And
then
then they blow it.
and then they
They
and then
blow
they
it.
blow it.
There are self-destruct buttons everywhere. Like there are liquor stores everywhere. There are bad decisions everywhere. There are um, lying is so easy about anything, and I'm convinced that the the a huge part of the addiction is becoming someone that all of a sudden realizes it's really easy to lie to get out of something, or is really
Was
easy
that
to,
an issue for you?
well, yeah, I hated the fact that I wasn't completely honest with everyone around me about the fact that I was still having a problem not drinking, and I couldn't stand the fact that I wasn't the honest person and direct person that I loved and that thought of myself as. And the third and most important thing that I had to accomplish, or that had to happen for me to get sober, happened at this rehab. And it's someone, this dude, I was like on like a bunk bed over like in a
It was
bu-
residential.
it was at this place called the Dream Center that is real churchy and very strict and hardcore. And it's not you don't go for a month. The idea is that you go for a year. I went for
A
100
year?
days. Yeah, I went for 100 days,
Dude, a year.
and I was surrounded by like criminals and like hardcore people that they'll take in anybody. So there were some successful people, but mostly it was people that had really, really, really faced some incredibly harsh repercussions.
What are your
But
If life is basically like a candle, whenever like the drugs get involved, I feel like, well, when like the candle, you can either the like you can either that candle can either blow itself out, like, because just like you're passed away or something. But then there's also when you add drugs and stuff to that equation, the thing, like the smell that the candle gives out is like this really bad smog, and then you want to blow it out, and then like that's what leads to like, if and then that's what like really destroys everything. Like when you want the drugs, just make it like this smoggy smell, and you always want to blow it, and now you want to blow it out.
I think what you said is super powerful. I earlier your dad said, that there's a selfishness to addiction. And that's absolutely true. And I think that it's in that loop, though, that shame loop. Shame, trying to overcome shame, doing
yeah,
the thing. And I'll never forget, I think it was a couple years ago. It was about 18 months ago, 2 years ago. You said something, you said, I hate secrets. They stress me out.
stress me the F out.
But that's a great thing to realize.
Yeah.
Secrets stress you out. And
Yeah, kind of like a little, maybe a gossipy secret is like, okay, but for the most part,
yeah.
if I
No,
have,
secrets about your own life.
oh my gosh, my buddy was, I have a friend that it came out that he was misbehaving with his wife. And I thanked him. I go, thank God you
You
didn't
mean
put,
misbehaving not with his wife?
he he had been unfaithful with
Yeah.
his wife. And when it came out, I go, dude, thank you so much for not including me in any of that crap. I would have been so stressed out keeping any of this. I'm like, I just want to thank you.
Well, really good
for not
friends shouldn't
including
be
me.
asking you to keep secrets for them.
If
Yeah.
you, I think,
I mean, a secret like confiding
can't-
in you about like a surprise party you're throwing for your wife or your girl, that's different. But what we're talking about, like,
if your life isn't mostly transparent, I
Mhm.
think you're going to be an unhappy person.
Mhm.
That's, I'm just convinced. If
No,
you're not living,
totally.
yeah, it's like,
Totally.
um, but the when I was in this bunk bed at my rehab, there was a dude and he came and he like prayed over me and he goes, I get the sense that you're having trouble forgiving yourself.
Hmm.
And I had like come to terms that I had become a liability for my family and that was really hard. And I'd come to terms that like my Jackie had just finally given me like she was like, this is,
I remember her
it
saying
couldn't
this.
have been a more
I spoke to her around that
definitive
time.
boundary.
Yeah, I spoke to her around that time, and
And
it
I
was
was like,
like
I think I've
this.
blown
This
it.
no, she did not give up on you,
She didn't give up on me.
and she never stopped loving you.
Yeah. It
But
was
she was
very clear.
But she was very clear that it's this time or never, basically.
Well, I had thought of myself as being a great dad and being a great husband despite all this. And
Well,
it
let's
was
face it. I
really,
mean, you were performing well as dad and husband in a lot of ways of your life.
but not.
That's probably what allowed you
Agreed,
to keep it
agreed.
going so long,
Okay. You know what?
right?
Great point. Great point.
Right? I mean, I've been to meetings where
You're right.
you know
Great
someone
point.
is
You're
just
right.
like, oh my God, I can't. You know, these like guys and women who've been sober a very long time
Yeah.
will often see someone new who comes into program, and they'll be most concerned about the person who's maintaining everything.
Yeah.
Because they know it's going to be a very long time before things get bad enough before they actually get sober.
No, great point.
Right. You don't wish somebody's entire life to crumble,
Yeah.
but oftentimes you find
I
that
need it.
sometimes they need it,
Yeah.
right? You know, everyone's bottom is different, right? You know, as they say.
Yeah. No, listen, great point.
Yeah.
So-
So forgive me. I think that there's this selfishness to addiction, for sure. Hurts people around you, right?
Yeah.
But there's what people hopefully will come to understand about themselves and people around them is that this loop, it's not an excuse, right? But this loop, it's like being in a house of mirrors.
Sure.
Things are not what they seem to be, and you kind of know it's not what they seem to be, but they're all kind of moving all over the place. And as I said before, real life is still continuing. So it's not like you still don't have to pick up groceries and you don't have to, you know, and so you can see why people go so long without correcting this stuff. And I think nowadays people are talking more about addiction. They're talking about the brain piece, the psychology piece. I am curious about something you said. How do you square, and I'm not judging here, but like, how do you square being an addict with, and clearly not being able to use drugs with something like psychedelics? Where do things like psilocybin, ibogaine, because people are now using ibogaine out of the US because it's illegal, but things like ibogaine, DMT, but also high dose psilocybin, ayahuasca in some cases, you're hearing people using these and getting sober. I also know some people that did ketamine for in an attempt to treat their addiction and ended up with a ketamine addiction. So like, how do you square this?
It's interesting. I can answer this by finishing a point, which is that the final thing that I needed to really develop a life that I was excited about being present, excited about, sometimes I call it like raw dogging reality. Just like
what you call it, raw dogging
I
reality.
heard it from Mark Zuckerberg. Like he mentioned being raw dogging reality, and I'm like, that is the attitude.
Punk rock sober, raw dogging reality.
No, but just being excited to be present through difficult emotions, through boredom.
Yeah.
But like, okay,
totally.
So the thing that worked for me was that someone prayed over me, and they go, I hope that I want this guy to forgive himself. And all of a sudden, I felt like I had a blank slate. And it was exactly what I needed. And it got me out of the spiral of shame and the spiral of guilt.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just watched this documentary about the Navy SEALs,
Waves to War,
who and their journey, like their recovery, seems like it required ibogaine. For me, I don't ever want to try anything again because I've landed at the place that I've always wanted to be. And I've landed at a place that I feel like God has, like, where I'm able to fulfill my full potential. But I see that those guys weren't able to without something incredibly powerful and strong, even more powerful than they are, getting them to a place where they could start the same journey.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad to hear you say that you don't feel like you need that, mostly because it tells me that you're living in the release from addiction in a real
Yeah.
way.
I don't ever
Um,
want to try any of it again.
yeah, I mean, I know a number of people from that community and from Veteran Solutions and who have gone down there. It's interesting that some of the people, not all, but some of the people that have done that have said it was super challenging and super profound. And for them to call it really challenging and in some cases scary, but very
Yeah.
useful, tells you it must be pretty gnarly. Um, I, as a
Not
counter,
not
yeah,
recreational.
not recreational at all. As a counter example, just or alternative, um, my friend Eddie Penny, he's done a few podcasts. He has a thing, Unafraid, and he's a former tier one operator
Yeah.
also, and deployed a lot overseas, etc. Definitely central figure in that community as well, respect in that community. He had challenges with addiction that he's talked about. He was on Sean Ryan's podcast, and he has never touched psychedelics as an attempt to get over addiction. He got sober, is very, very sober, and super uh, educator around relationship to God and Christ. So
Sure.
he's done all of that for himself through his relationship to the Bible, God, and Christ.
Yeah.
And he talks about this, and he's been a very inspiring person for me because, well, we've spent a lot of time together as friends and some a little bit of obviously non-military work, but he has a very interesting perspective um, about why Scripture is so powerful.
Hmm.
That's been very informative for me as a scientist because it's really helped me understand that these forces in us, I do think they exist in everybody. And some people, the evil piece is more, amplified, and in others it's more atrophied. But like,
Right.
I mean, Jung, the psychologist, was right. We have all things inside of us, right? I mean, there are true sociopaths,
Sure.
and none of us would wish to be like that. And God willing, their sociopaths will be eradicated from the earth.
Yeah.
But this notion of battles between good and evil existing in everyone,
Or even like entropy and like entropy is such a, I mean, it's nature, it's the universe, it's
Sure.
everything, it's the other side of it. It seems absurd that any type of spirituality wouldn't have kind of a both sides, light and dark.
Oh, it was listening to him, talking to him, reading what he was sending me, thinking about it. My relationship to prayer, uh, different than yours, but at the same time, also just seeing and just experiencing immense change through prayer. Just going like, this is
Yeah.
wild. As a scientist, you're like, wait, this shouldn't work. How does this work? But
Yeah.
then also having really good conversations with scientists, serious scientists
Sure.
from biology, from physics, from chemistry, from other fields, who believe, who are believers, right?
Yeah.
And also with people who are not. Like my dad, he was on my podcast, and he's a scientist, theoretical physicist by training. We've had our issues of past, but we're in a really good place now, and that feels so good.
Cool.
He's 82 years old. We were very close. I have a great relationship to my parents now, and and when he came on my podcast, I was like, "Do you believe in God?" And he's like, "Well, I believe there could be something, but he and I don't share the same relationship to it. But he also won't tell me that he doesn't believe in it." And it's interesting. So I offer
But once you really meet him, I think it's hard to go back. I've had a moment where oh my God, this is where I feel like I've been touching him and and where I've felt held by him.
Mhm.
And once you've had that, you can't really go back.
You can't go back.
Yeah.
I've never, well, I don't want to say things like I've never seen someone get and stay sober without it. No, actually, everyone has their path,
You have to have a higher power.
but you have to surrender to the reality, which is that you can't solve everything with your own brain, just you and your brain.
Done.
I think that's the piece that's like,
Done.
once you get that and you're like, the brain is an amazing organ. It can do amazing things, but it cannot solve everything. And in fact, many of the things that are a immense struggle, addict or not,
Yeah.
become immensely easier and at times even just plain easy,
Yeah.
by virtue of acknowledging that you can't solve everything with
Yeah.
your own brain.
Yeah.
And some people say, well, but, my higher power, my friends and my community. Okay, fine. But what we're talking about here is that the human brain, just like the human eyes can't see every wavelength of light, a mantis shrimp sees all this stuff we can't see. The human brain is not wired to solve everything for itself, much less for the rest of the world.
But an addict has to also admit, not only can I not, but also I've tried and I'm really bad at it.
Admitting failure is really great. It's also brings a lot of comfort.
I'm
You're just
awful.
like, exactly. I went to the men's final of the
Got to
year.
turn this over.
Totally. This year, we got invited to the men's final of the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big tennis guy, but I've seen a little bit of it. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cool. And like, I want to learn about it. So we got we were, with some friends so we're like, okay, let's go. And I'm watching the men's final of the U.S. Open, and it's super intense, and they're playing their hearts out, and everyone there is like wrapped with attention. And I realized, like, I understand like 65% of what's going on at best.
Yeah.
And I think, and there were these moments where I'm convinced I understand it. And then I realized, like, there are only two people here that really understand what's going on. And those are the two guys on the court. And the only guy who really understands what's going on with him is each player.
Sure.
And actually one of the players who won, Alcaraz, we were sitting near his family and coach, and they were having this dialogue where like they were kind of arguing back and forth, but also supporting each other. And they had their own, and everyone thinks they know what's going on with everybody else. And once I realized that we all, myself especially, needs to pay more attention to like trying to understand the process of self in the world. Like, we're so good at putting our attention on others and judging and thinking what's good for them. And we'll do it like to the like neglect of what we need to just like turn the mirror on ourselves. But at the point where we can't get it, that's where the higher power piece becomes so valuable, because it provides this relief and also a clarity. And we're not wired to understand everything. So the biggest selfishness, the huge like myth / lie is that we are all knowing about ourselves.
Yeah.
Or people in general. We're not wired for it. We're not wired for it. And so it's like,
we have
it's like, hey, everyone,
clue.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, everyone, including me, get over yourself. Like the big illusion is that you think you understand it all, and you don't. And I find such peace in that. And I have to say, my girlfriend now has been really great, because she has a great relationship to life and God and herself and all these things, but she works on it.
Okay.
Like, from the time she like really works on it, she spends time on it. She doesn't advertise that she spends time on it. And every once in a while, I'll just kind of like ping her with a question about something, because I'm genuinely curious. Like, what are your thoughts on this? And she'll tell me, but then every once in a while she'll be like, but then again, I know that I don't. She'll say, but then again, I know that I just don't know the complete picture.
Yeah.
Sure.
So she's so wise. She knows where the cliff of her knowledge is. And I'm like, yeah. And that's a wise person.
There's a great quote, and it's God says, I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. And I think that it's so easy for us to think that we understand the bigger picture that God has for our lives. And it's such a mistake. There are so many times where the victory that I thought was in front of me could have probably crushed me. And there are so many times where I've noticed that the biggest setback has been like the greatest source of like triumph.
Totally. I mean, you wouldn't wish those hard experiences on anyone, but they end up being the medicine that you needed.
Yeah.
Man. Oh yeah. 100%.
So surrendering to that is difficult, but ultimately it's such an easier life. It's like, the only job in some ways that we have is to sort of surrender to that. And if we can, it's going to be the idea that we're built to fight against that, or we have anything I don't know if it's biological or something that is
Well, it's
pushes
tricky.
self-destruct buttons in us is
Oh yeah.
insane.
Well, it's tricky because I think, again, I'll say as men, but only because that's the only experience I have. But as people, but certainly as a male, like we're raised, and I've always just felt a natural impulse to like be forward center of mass and like try things and do things and try and build things, and
Yeah.
you get rewarded for it, and it works, and at the same time that mindset can kill you,
Kill you.
right? I mean, it almost got me killed in Guadalupe, cage exit diving with great white sharks. I mean,
Dude, that
you know,
story is so
it's a
nuts.
crazy story. I mean, an air failure, the hookah line. I mean, luckily everything worked out in the
You were
end.
surrounded by Navy SEALs.
Well, no.
Was
There
there-
was only one SEAL team guy there. It was
No.
Pat?
It was only
Patrick.
one. It was only one. What do you mean surrounded by Navy SEALs? No,
I
I was
thought it was
surrounded
all-
by water and sharks.
Oh, and Mueller.
He would, yeah, that's a whole story. Maybe we don't go into this, but I'll just to make a long story short.
Great story, yeah.
I mean, that was my second time down there. I'd gone down in the cage before. They do the cage of service cage down below, and
Diving
I
with
was
great whites.
the idea was, and several people there were already doing it. You leave the cage, you swim towards the great whites out of the cage, and then they bank off you. Because if you act like you're not afraid of them and you swim towards them as opposed to run from them, they interpret that as you're not food. Anyway, we were down there doing that, and this was 2017. I'd been in 2016, but I didn't exit the cage, and I went back down in 2017. And to make a long story short, the second day, I was down in the cage. Divers go out.
Yeah.
They're doing their thing. I'm in the cage alone. I was breathing air from a hookah line that runs up to the surface. And I was in the cage alone, which I'd never been in the cage alone. There was always someone else there with me.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, there was no air coming through the mouthpiece. And I looked up, and the hookah line had gotten really boa constricted up. I guess I'd been turning around down there. And yeah, they're big great whites around you all the time.
Legit big great whites.
Great whites.
That's
Great white
crazy.
sharks. Multiple great white sharks.
You
Yeah.
can't-
Wait, let him finish.
There's great whites.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
How scared were you?
In that moment, I was very tense. I would say that my mind went to just one or two things, which was get air, so I wasn't really processing fear. I was processing urgency,
Sure.
get air. So I kind of saw whether or not I could untangle it. I couldn't. And so I went down to the corner of the cage, and I turned the handle on the safety tank, and the needle didn't move. And I was like, oh my God. So I went to the other one, same story. So at that point, the idea was, okay, well, I'll shoot for the surface. I had a weight belt on. Guys are out of the cage. But of course, you can pass out on the way up, or you can get eaten by a shark. Lot of bad things could happen. Long story short, fortunately, one of the guys was close enough and was able to get to me. I was able to get to him, signal what was going on. He was very confused. And we did the share air thing, where you learn during scuba class, right? It's during scuba certification, how to share air. Other guys came back, and we went up, and it was pretty gnarly. And and then I went to the side of the boat, and actually Pat, our friend Pat Dossett,
Great Navy SEAL
former SEAL team guy. He was the only team guy on the dive.
Oh, I thought it was stacked with them.
No. He had already cage exited, I think, earlier that day, as had my good friend Brian McKenzie.
Yeah.
And because of course I invited everyone down to this trip, because like, why wouldn't you invite your friends to do something really dumb,
Deadly.
really deadly, after all. But we were filming VR for
I was mad that I wasn't invited. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, in any case, Pat said to me, what did you learn from that?
Yeah.
Those are the first words out of his mouth.
Okay.
And I said, always check the safeties before you go down. And it was unclear whether or not the safeties were open and the needles didn't move, or if people had been drinking off the safeties so that they could stay out of the cage longer.
Oh, got it.
That jury's still out on that. The point is, it was a really tense situation. I don't like to say I almost drowned, because that is giving the Reaper a little bit too much credit.
Yeah.
I don't like to say that, but I'll tell you, and this is
There's
not
so much. There's so much goodness that comes when you have the when you're aware that you almost lost everything. Like I love thinking that I almost
Oh,
lost everything. It makes me
well,
so happy.
yeah, I mean, a couple things are relevant here. So later that day, I was pretty like, whoa, that was intense. And I made the decision that night, not making recommendations to people here, but I made the decision that night that the next day I'd go down again
Oh my God.
and I would cage exit. And I have to be very clear. I didn't do that because I was trying to be tough. I did
Yeah.
that because I didn't want to have any kind of post-traumatic stress. And so the next morning, I was like putting on my wetsuit and booties, and my friend Ryan Suave, who's a very gifted trauma therapist, but also has been running addiction programs for many years.
Oh wow.
He's out in Florida. We've been friends for a long time. Very gifted guy. He's been on my podcast. Very, very. He's helped people get sober who could not get sober.
Okay.
Anyway, he's an incredible person. He said he came over to me and he said, you don't have to do this, and I said I have to do this. And I said something stupid like, I'd rather die than
Oh God.
just dumb, but really it was about not having the post-traumatic stressing. So we went down again in the cage. This time I'm on scuba. I got air on my back.
Okay.
I was tense, like as they lower the thing, it clink, 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 you hear the crane, it's carried from a crane off the back of a boat.
Sure.
And went down, did the cage exit thing. I got a little sideways at the beginning. I couldn't get my buoyancy right. And I was kind of like, I wasn't. And then when I calmed down and I got it right, and of course, Michael Muller made sure to like take a bunch of photos of me outside the cage just to make sure and that I had this. And then when we came out, I was like, we're good. Like, I'm good. I've not had one single post-traumatic experience with that.
Great.
But I made a decision. Once it's 22 hours back to shore, and then you have to drive up to San Diego from Ensenada.
Yeah.
And I decided once we're back across the border into San Diego, I'm like, that's it. I'm never taking a risk with my life again. That was 2017. So once we got across, I'm like, that's it. I'm no longer risking my life. I was in Yosemite this last year, and I love hiking Clouds Rest. And there's this big rock thing at the end that's pretty narrow. If you fall, you're going down to the valley floor. It's super dangerous. But if you're mindful, you're fine.
Yeah.
And so every once in a while, I kind of check myself. Like, am I being reckless? Am I being reckless? Am I playing games with my life? And I will never again do something unnecessarily dangerous. Life presents plenty of things for you. But I will say, even though that happened in 2017, there were some things that happened between 2017 and I would say like 2024 up until the beginning of 2024, where I was putting myself in a different kind of danger. And, that I didn't realize. And so sometimes the lesson has to come twice. And you have to, and this is the complicated thing about the human brain. And it's a complicated thing about being male, where if you are an adventurer, you like adventure, sometimes you can confuse danger for adventure. And because they're like this, and sometimes they're like this. Sometimes the adventure is safe. Yeah. Sometimes the adventure can get you killed. And so now I just spend a lot of time thinking about how much I love peace and safety and calm. I have a pet octopus. I have an awesome girlfriend. I have an amazing job I love and friends that I do it with, and great relationship with my friends and family. And I feel peace. And if anything looks like it's going to compromise peace, then I become very careful. I put it under a microscope and inspect it. So these days I'm living in the delight of peace. So I just want to be clear that all the stuff around sharks and cage exit, shark diving and wildness and, eventually you take enough adventures, one of those adventures is going to kill you.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's why you seem so, this epiphany that you got to after years and years. You've got a joy to you.
Thanks, man.
Well,
yeah.
I think I might be talking about the same thing, but if life is like a game of checkers, you're not playing against someone else. You're playing against yourself. You're always you're playing against yourself. Like, or should I do this? Should I not? Like,
totally.
And then one day you might get checkmate. Like, and I feel like the adventure is when you're like moving and like doing stuff, and then once they get you, it's gonna be checkmate.
100%. I mean, there's this great band called Social Distortion, and the singer,
What a great band.
yeah, Mike Ness does some solo stuff, and he's got this great song called "Cheating at Solitaire."
Okay.
And sometimes I feel like addiction is like cheating at solitaire. Like you're not fooling anyone, including
It's a
yourself.
great. Oh my
You
God,
know,
I don't know that
well,
song.
Mike, I
Cool.
don't know him personally, but I love his music, and he's certainly been through it. He's his hard addiction stuff, and
Oh, I'd love to get him on my
you know.
podcast.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my God, I love
Mike
Social
Ness,
D.
come on the podcast.
Social D.
Ness is he's a legend. He's on the Mount Rushmore of punk rock.
Dude, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna try to go after him.
Yeah.
You have a connection to him? I would be so excited.
Ness is so
Oh
right.
my
There's this great two things that maybe we put links to. One is if you want to get a sense of just how big those sharks are down in Guadalupe, I have a video that I posted of a great white we would fish for tuna in the evening,
Yeah.
and taking a tuna off our line, and it just jolts out of this boat like a torpedo. But
Dude.
it's a 2,000-pound animal, and it just gives you a sense of the size and the speed of these animals. And it slices this tuna in half with a bite. It looks like it misses, but it looks like a buzz saw cut the tuna in half. It's like,
Wow.
and it was a bite that you would say, oh, it missed, and it's like, nope. And then the other thing is for fans of Mike Ness and Social Distortion, there's this great series, or a YouTube video rather, I think it's called something like The Sound of Tone or something, where he talks through his history with rock and roll. And he's got this great voice where he talks about like, I'm not from there. And you're like, this is a guy who's just been through a lot.
Killer.
And he's a soul musician. Like he's really a soul musician. And we think of it as punk rock and roll. But
Yeah.
man, like, it actually raises an important point, which is that, like ex-addicts are some of the wisest people I know.
Dude, agreed. There's some Jedis that I've met through sobriety, and I have heroes. And you know what? One thing that I think that is positive about social media, and let's just say the internet, is that for the longest time, my heroes were people that had pushed the self-destruct button early.
Mhm.
Jim Morrison, John Belushi.
The
Chris
Doors
Farley.
were only 3 years.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. And now my heroes are very public champions of sobriety. Robert Downey Jr., Mel Gibson is a very public. Like, I love that there are people that I'm so inspired by that I haven't met.
I think
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
Great
Did you
example.
read that? There was actually a really
His
good
book
interview.
just came out.
Yeah, I saw a really good interview with him. Spectacular. It's interesting because I wouldn't wish addiction on anyone, but Anna Lemke, my colleague at Stanford who wrote Dopamine Nation, who runs the dual addiction diagnosis clinic, she's an incredible human being. Talked about social media addiction a while ago.
Sure.
A lot of that's coming to fruition now. But she has said that her patients who get sober are like her heroes, because she thinks that they are actually in a better position to navigate life than everyone else, because they can see the pulls of these different aspects of life, like social media, like which can be healthy or it can be unhealthy, like food, like movies, like adventure, like intrigue, right? Earlier you said, your buddy was unfaithful. I mean, there's levels of unfaithful, right? A lot of people are just pulled towards the next shiny object.
Totally.
Or for some people, they're pulled towards what they think is going to be real emotional support. I mean, look, and I'm not judging anyone, right? I certainly have my own challenges. But the point being that Anna really nailed it when she said people that learn their flaw, they accept that they are flawed, then they learn to overcome it. They're in the best position to navigate life.
Glorious.
The real ninja move, though, is to never have to get addicted and then recover in order to do that.
Totally.
And if you can learn, as River, you're a step ahead of everyone here, because if you can learn from other people's mistakes, then you're definitely winning.
Yeah. 100%.
And anyway.
Who wins in a battle, a hippo or a polar bear? We've discussed this.
Definitely the polar bear.
Versus a hippo?
I think a hippo would win.
I just think those polar bear claws are pretty gnarly. Have you seen them? They're like this big. And the bear's foot is like this thick.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's this
But hippo
video.
can one bite.
Yeah, there. Yeah, yeah, but those bears can move. You know, they have all that. Yeah, they can move. I don't know. There's a video that was posted. There's this guy that goes up into the Los Angeles mountains and puts one of those cameras, you know, and he puts at these lookout peaks. And he did one just the other day, and it's like mountain lion goes and like catches their morning sunlight. Then you see a ringtail. It looks like almost like a lemur, a bobcat, all these different. There's so many animals back in these mountains.
Yeah.
Bears. There's a bear. It's super cool. I'm really into. I want to get one of these cameras
and just put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, where I live, I'd likely just see a bunch of like street level drug deals and a few.
Dude, that's just. I used to think
where I live. I mean, if there's a stray cat, I would. The other day, someone filmed a couple of like pit bulls up on a 4th story roof near where I live, but that just seems crazy.
I spent a while. I thought growing up, I thought that the coolest gig, the job that I wanted was to be a wildlife like documentarian and photograph. It's so boring. It is so boring. It is so boring.
Well, our friend Michael Muller goes down to Guadalupe.
Okay, that's not boring. Yeah. Okay, that's a great example.
Oh, hippo. Oh, we got this thing here. Here, let's. Do you mind if we bring up the Nest thing real quick? Next is I just put a Mike Nest tone. I forget what it is. So good.
But dude, I spent enough time working.
Pursuit of Tone. That's it. Listen to this dude's voice.
Okay.
How gnarly is this dude? Listen. I think it goes ta-dun, ta-dun, ta-dun. Hopefully we don't have to go too far before. First music.
Bro, those dolls look pretty creepy.
Yeah, totally. All right, anyway. That's the thing, the Pursuit of Tone.
That was a great album.
Yeah, he's a gnarly dude.
I want to make sure
still alive. He's still going.
What I want to make sure I didn't.
That's actually a song from Social Distortion.
Oh, this is like a thought that I had, which is. Oh, by the way, dude, you saw that interview that I had with that guy.
Wait, hold on. Hippo, polar bear.
I think the hippo would win because like the one if the hippo somehow go if just one bite to any one of the like polar bears like the one bite to like the polar bear's head or the polar bear's like
done
or something, yeah, it's done.
How about rhino hippo?
Rhino hippo, I've read a book about that. Hippo would win.
Rhinos are smaller than hippos.
No, rhinos are bigger than hippos.
Hippos are. We're talking about like the biggest of both.
Oh.
Yeah. Hippos are bigger than rhinos. Hippos.
I've seen a book where the rhino's bigger than the hippo.
We like a show called 72 Dangerous Animals on Netflix. Oh, dear God, it is amazing. And it just talks about why each animal is dangerous. It's a spectacular series.
Do you know do you know how your parents met?
No.
They do.
Oh, yeah, on Survivor?
Yeah, you know, Jackie was on Survivor.
Jackie was on Survivor, and I was working on Survivor.
And you're not supposed to fraternize with the actors.
And I did.
And you took her to Africa.
The show took her to Africa.
Okay.
I was working on the show.
Yeah.
And it is an absolute no to fraternize with the cast.
But if you do, you better marry them because otherwise your life is over.
I have run into Mark Burnett since.
Who's Mark Burnett?
Mark Burnett is the producer of Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
He's the creator of Survivor.
Is that show still going?
Biggest class act around.
Yeah, it is.
It's still going, and they're killing it.
Is he pissed at you?
He was pissed in that moment, but man, I ran into him at like the best possible. Jackie and I were together. It was like a black tie event. She looked good. I looked great. We both.
She looked good. Dude, you were supposed to say she looked great.
She looked incredible. We were both so happy about our kids at the time, and I run into him, and I was just go, dude. I'm sure that was stressful for production, but we're married, and I'm so happy and so grateful. He was like the epitome of a cool class act.
Didn't Jackie used to box?
Jackie boxed, and like she would do those like fight nights in college.
I think one of the first things you ever told me about your wife, you're like, dude, check this out. My wife beats up other people. And I was like, that doesn't sound good. And you showed me a video and she was in the ring boxing some other woman.
Have you ever seen that video?
No, I've never.
This girl.
Your mom was legit boxing this other person.
Nah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but not like, like she was like some jabs,
Yeah.
some straights,
Yeah.
uppercut. Yeah.
Did you know what's so crazy? The mosquito kills more people than
Anything.
that's. And then did you know somehow the snake? So I think it went like the mosquito kills the most people. Other humans kill the second most people, which is crazy, but that's easy to believe. And then somehow the snake kills the third most people.
I don't like snakes. I'm gonna be real honest. I respect them, and I love all animals. Not crazy about reptiles, but
People that collect snakes are so weird.
well, I'm not gonna say anything about people that collect snakes.
Oh.
All I know is I don't like snakes.
Okay.
They freak me out. I realize that they can't really like jump across the room. Like friends of mine that are afraid of spiders will say that spiders can jump really far and they'll get you and stuff. I don't have a problem with spiders, but I do not like snakes. In fact, I dislike snakes enough that I don't want to go to the jungle.
What?
I don't want to go to the jungle. I don't like humidity. I don't like snakes.
Jungle is
I'm not going.
amazing.
Yeah.
The jungle in Costa Rica.
I don't really like alligators either. I don't like saltwater alligators. I don't like alligators.
It is interesting how I can spend maybe a week and a half in the jungle. I lived in the Amazon rainforest for several months one time. And it was really amazing to me how quickly like your body kind of turns into this fungus. Or I mean, it's like, that humidity starts to just tear you up.
I am not into humidity. I don't like alligators. I respect them. I don't want one.
Yeah. I am terrified of snakes. So I was in I think North Dakota or something like that. I am positive, even though they live in Africa, I am positive someone deported a snake to North Dakota, and I am positive to this day it was a black mamba. Because
Dude,
it was black and yellow.
It
and
probably
I saw
was.
it, like, crawling right by me. And I'm like, run.
Dude,
Run.
it probably was. I mean, I saw this episode of Law and Order where they like busted this like exotic animal import ring, and they like
That's why we're having a boa constrictor problem in Florida because of pets.
Well, and I'll tell you, right here in California, we have rattlesnakes. In my old place, the one I used to live in, the base of that kind of more
Beechwood.
mountain, Beechwood. I was walking around in the backyard barefoot on the phone with my producer on the lawn, and I look, and there's a little coiled baby rattlesnake. I filmed picking it up with the tongs and moving it, so I have verification on this. And it was so camouflaged because its eye markings were like lines across its eyes that went right into its bands, which matched like the like blades of grass. It was super scary, and it was just sitting there with it little coiled up. And actually, that
rattle will do something to you in a primal way.
There's digestive juices in the venom. Actually, my then girlfriend's dog got bit by a rattlesnake.
No.
But survived.
Wow.
Swelled up, all this, like, and actually here's a lesson, everyone. The vets were like, that's not a rattlesnake. But we eventually found the fang marks.
Yeah.
And as a tough little dog, survived. But it was really scary. It was really close.
Wow.
She was like, the dog was like super zoned out and swollen. It was really scary. Yeah, the venom of snakes has growth factors and digestive juices, actually nerve growth factor, NGF, which was discovered by Rita Levi-Montalcini. She won the Nobel Prize for this. She isolated nerve growth factor, which is very useful for regrowing nerves and things, from snake venom.
Wow.
My friend, since we're talking about rattlesnakes, so I'm not sure if I believe this, but he told me it's true. So when he was like 5 or 6, he was on the soccer field, okay? And he lives in this place where there's like a bunch of rattlesnakes. And at the, I think, end of the game, I think he was on bench, this rattlesnake popped up, and not many people saw this, but the second, like 1 millisecond later, somehow he had his hand in the right position, where since all that force of the rattlesnake going, his hand actually chopped the snake's head off, basically.
Dude.
Yeah,
Wait,
so
what?
like
Who is this?
Levi.
Levi.
So yeah, so no, I'm not sure if this was true, but so the rattlesnake was coming. It was like shooting up from the ground, and since his hand was just in the right thing where the rattlesnake, it chopped the rattlesnake's head off.
Head off.
Yeah, and then
Dude,
yeah, it's crazy.
that's wild. I'm remembering right now I had a dream about a snake last night.
What was it?
What?
It wasn't good.
Oh no.
There was a snake and someone, I don't know who it was, decided I wrote it down in my phone actually because I woke up and I'll sometimes write things down.
Yeah.
And they like chopped the snake's tail and it kept going. And I was like, you have to chop the head off. You have to chop the head off. And they took something to try and like kind of push the head down, but it wasn't going to do it. And all of a sudden the snake's mouth opened and venom rained down on everybody.
Oh God.
And a couple little flecks got on me. And I was like, I'm good. But I wrote it down. It's in my phone. If we
You
brought
write
it,
down your nightmares?
I write down my dreams if I
Dreams.
wake up in the middle of the night because I know that if I don't, I'll forget them. And
all of my dreams are all of my nightmares lately are I will all of a sudden find myself maybe picking something up and then that's alcohol and I'll go, oh my God, now I've relapsed and I have to start over and I have all these people come to my and I will begin the process of hiding that and then I'll wake up in panic that I'm all of a sudden living a life.
Listen, I am so glad this is great. This is your unconscious mind. Because in dreams, it's our unconscious giving us things in symbolism. Sometimes it's very obvious what it is. Sometimes it's unclear, like the snake thing, what it is. And people have all sorts of theories, but your unconscious mind is giving you examples of just how terrible you will feel if you were to relapse.
Horrendous.
And while I don't like you to be in discomfort because you're my friend, I think like what a blessing that is that you're experiencing this. It's like solidifying your already solid sobriety. And I think this is awesome. I think your unconscious mind is terrified that you're going to relapse and is teaching you in the way that makes the most sense for you. So this is what I learned from a very smart person about how to interpret your dreams. Don't let someone else interpret your dreams. Ever. They can interpret why they're there, which is to show you something. But if you're a visual person and you think in visual symbols, your dreams will offer you things in visual symbols. This is like if you're somebody who thinks in analogy or in metaphor, like it will do it that way. However you learn and understand the world, your unconscious mind is going to offer you things in that way. So when I say this is your unconscious mind doing this, I'm not interpreting your dream. I'm just saying this is but like, perhaps you learn best from high amplitude emotions.
Yeah.
You know, I learn best from symbolism. And oh man, this is so good.
I wake up and I'm like,
great.
I'm not
great.
And I'll have for the rest of the day, I'll have a great day. I'm not in that one shitty situation. Yeah. Amazing.
Well, I've seen you just really soaring these last few years in the really stable sense of the word.
Thanks.
Not manic at all. You're ruling. Your art is dialed.
Best time
your
of my
family's dialed.
Thanks.
You know, did you guys get a dog?
We're about to.
What kind of dog are you gonna get?
What do you think, dude? He wants a golden retriever.
Goldens are great.
They shed. That is my only worry.
We're either getting, I think, a Cavapoo or a golden retriever. Those are the two ones that we've been like.
An ex-girlfriend of mine who I'm still really good friends with, who lives out in Colorado, has a Cavapoo, and they are amazing.
Oh, amazing.
Also, they don't have fur; they have hair, so they don't shed like hair everywhere.
It's so important to me.
And I have to tell you, that dog is awesome.
I'm shedding is a problem for any artist that let's like
get
eventually
a Cavapoos are the sweetest.
Hair is going to get
this dog is so sweet. They have a ton of personality, ton of energy. They're healthy.
Right. Sold.
I can even find out what litter they got them from. Maybe that breeder's.
All right. Our Paige trying to help us with this.
River
has a so you're the godfather. Mm-hmm. River has a godmother. There, of course, we have uncles and aunts that also are.
Well,
but Paige Mikoski, Blake's.
Oh, great!
And she has an angle on a
so you got the Aviator Nation. Yeah, isn't that her company?
We love Aviator Nation.
I don't own any Aviator Nation because I don't tend to do the colors thing. But I have a question before we wrap. River, as your godfather, how can I support you? Perhaps in ways that I'm not aware of.
Well, like whenever I'm feeling down, like maybe like you like help or like give me some like a pep talk or something like that. And I think that whenever someone gives me a pep talk, I feel like I'm just really like stable.
Okay.
Yeah, like a pep talk would be nice.
You got it, man. Anytime you need a pep talk,
Just
you
something
just,
as little as that. Like,
yeah, man.
So
Just
were
reach
you
out, but it won't exactly be a pep talk because all I got to do is remind you of what's absolutely true, which is ever since I've known you, you've been a great kid and a great young man, and you just you're just like clear eyes is like your thing. You just look out at the world like with this confidence and clear eyes that I've always seen. But I know that anytime we get positive feedback and we think, oh, does that mean I always have to show up like that? Just remember, man, if you're feeling wobbly or you're like uncertain, that you should reach out and just,
yeah.
Reach out to me. You know how to get a hold of me. And you're doing amazingly well. Like everything I see is just you, just giant beam of light, man. It's all good. It's all good. I just see you so clear, so smart, so insightful. And you're learning from your dad's mistakes, and you're a leader. You got love of animals. You love your sister.
and you're smart enough to know that I think it's so amazing that you recognize sometimes I have trouble and I would love
Yeah.
another person to reach out to.
Yeah,
that could-
man. You have a ton of self-awareness. You're doing awesome. And you're good to your mom.
Yeah, that's good. Whenever you're like good to one of your parents, it's just really good. And then the other parent gets jealous or something.
Well, I'm not
Never
gonna
get jealous of
I'm not
this.
gonna intervene in that, but your mom's awesome. She
Yeah.
deserves all the love and respect. And your dad too. He's a really great friend of mine. I'm super grateful to all the Ramseys.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He is doing a great job helping. Like I feel he's awesome, and I want him to become an artist, and I know that it's the last thing I should be doing is to push him on that. Jackie is an entrepreneur, and so sometimes he will help her with her
Yeah.
gestational diabetes product,
First of all,
which is a lemonade.
You'll figure it
that's-
out. You'll figure it out, dude. Or maybe you come work in a lab for a summer, try science, maybe come hang out and check out the octopus tank and
I do want to see.
You got to check out
maybe
that.
or people can want things for you, but ultimately like you'll know.
Yeah.
Just learn to listen to that voice in your head, that healthy voice that's like, hey, that's cool. Whatever you're steering towards naturally, that's your thing.
Okay.
It'll find you.
Peace. I have to say, this is the longest and like I could just keep going, but I also
We'll do it again.
yeah, we'll do it again. But no one has asked me to pitch anything, but I gotta say, this flavor is killer.
Mint
It
lime
is
cool.
It is
Well, we're in Whole
insane,
Foods
the
now.
chattiness.
We're in Whole Foods now, and I'm super proud of the yerba thing because I grew up drinking yerba, love yerba, and then our yerba is organic. It's all clean source. The bottles and cans have
clean
no
up.
endocrine disruptors. We test them for that, and it's a super clean caffeine buzz. Don't drink too much caffeine.
Oh, it's a really like I don't feel
Damn it.
jittery or
Yeah,
and normally I have one. I had two today.
we'll load you up with it.
Yeah.
You can. It sounds like can get sips here and there, but
I want like one a week.
yeah.
Now, you could have a couple of sips every now and then for something that's really important.
Yeah, but no more beer, dude.
No more.
Ease
The
up on-
idea that he has been sitting for 3 hours is nuts to me.
Oh yeah, he normally doesn't do this.
I mean, under no circumstances would we put him in a situation where he has to sit in an adult conversation for 3 sustained hours. Like I think that school, they're up and down and doing all the things. It's like, this is amazing.
He's a master.
You're a master. Okay, later. Peace.
Yes.
I love you, dude. I'm so grateful you came.
Love you both. Thanks, guys.
La la la.